Chapter 12. As for the small patch of coiled evil grass growing in the Sita clan, Ning Fan had also taken it away. As such, after gathering the jade royal grass and coiling devil grass, Ning Fan could concoct the jade royal pill. In the memories of the immortal emperor, the jade royal pill, which was said to be difficult to obtain by the immortal emperor, had an extraordinary medicinal effect. He was really looking forward to it. Unfortunately, there were too many things to do at the auction. He had to be busy for a while before he had time to concoct pills. Coming out from the Sita mansion, Ning Fan heaved a sigh of relief. After subduing 2 harmonious spirit commanders, his position in 7 Apricot City could be considered to be completely stabilized. Yuchi followed behind Ning Fan's, wanting to say something but hesitating. Even though he was simple and honest, he was not stupid. He could see that Ning Fan's sword was giving Situ some pointers. After receiving Ning Fan's guidance, Situ was obviously enlightened. It wouldn't be long before he broke through to the late harmonious spirit realm. Late harmonious spirit realm. How enviable. Sigh, if only young master was willing to give me some pointers. After holding it in for a long time, Yuchi finally couldn't hold it anymore. On the way back to Si Fan Palace, he asked Ning Fan for help. Young master, you can't favor one and discriminate against the other. This subordinate is also loyal to you. You've guided second brother Situ, but you can't not guide me. This isn't fair. Yes, it's not fair. Yuchi said anxiously. Guide you? Ning Fan looked at Yuchi and shook his head. Yuchi had been guarding the Plum Manor and the herb garden for a long time. Unknowingly, the ruthlessness in his heart had been tempered. Ruthlessness, not viciousness, but a kind of determination and boldness in cultivating the devil path. Yuchi and the 400 apricot guards were not ruthless enough, so their achievements would be limited. Situ, on the other hand, had extraordinary aptitude for the sword Dao and was able to understand it with just a single try. This Yuchi didn't seem to have any good points other than feeding pigs. Wait, feed the pigs? You seem to have a good relationship with your Sky River pig? Ning Fan suddenly asked with a strange look in his eyes. Yes. Young master also wants to raise one. If there's a chance, this subordinate will help you catch one. Yuchi's face was full of flattery. No, I don't like pigs. However, I do have a cultivation technique that can help you increase your strength. The prerequisite is that you can accept this cultivation technique. Although there was only the yin-yang transformation in Ning Fan's mind, there were also many other miscellaneous merit laws. One of them was the beast subduing technique. It was an unorthodox cultivation technique that required the cultivator to dual cultivate with a demonic beast, combining the two of them. It was extremely hardcore. Ning Fan didn't intend to cultivate this hardcore merit law, but if Yuchi could accept it, he wouldn't mind teaching it to him. Yuchi, this idiot, didn't he like pigs? I'll just have to dual cultivate with his pig. Hearing this, Yuchi was overjoyed. He didn't care whether the merit law was hardcore or not, he only cared if he could break through to the intermediate harmonious spirit realm. Thus, when Ning Fan returned to Si Fan Palace, he wrote down 2 sets of cultivation laws based on his memory. A set of beast taming spell, a hardcore cultivation technique for both and was naturally for Yuchi. Yuchi received the cultivation method, and after looking at it, he was shocked, and left in great joy. When he got home, he couldn't wait to take out the Sky River pig. Looking at it from left to right, all kinds of feelings welled up in his heart. He had never married a wife in his life, but this little pig might be his only wife in the future. Fortunately, it's a sow, so it can dual cultivate with me. It's a bit ugly, but I'll make do with it. Amidst the sow's screams, Yuchi tested the effects of the beast taming spell. The process was extremely ecstatic, and needless to say. The second cultivation method Ning Fan wrote down was a cauldron cultivation method named Maiden Returning Een method, prepared for Jiha. Jiha had a natural charming bone physique, and cultivating this cauldron cultivation method was much faster than other methods. The most important thing was that after cultivating this method, Jihe could suppress the yin energy inside her body. Even if she didn't have sex with others, her physique would no longer act up. Unfortunately, this merit law had a requirement. In the first 3 months of cultivation, she was not allowed to have sex with a man. This caused Ning Fan and Jihe's dual cultivation plan to be temporarily halted. As a result, Jihe went into seclusion next to Ning Fan's bedroom. This seclusion would last for 3 months. Ning Fan completely immersed himself in the matters of the auction. Every night, when it was quiet, he would sit cross-legged in meditation to stabilize his 5th-level vein opening cultivation. His magical power also gradually condensed. In a flash, 10 days had passed. In these 10 days, the old monster failed to refine a 4th revolution Dan and his cauldron exploded once. With a dark expression, he ran out of the Sea Fan Palace and once again took the medicinal ingredients and cauldron to refine Dan again. He didn't believe that he couldn't break through to the 4th revolution Dan refinement realm. In these 10 days, the Godly Void Pavilion built a magnificent ice palace in the southern part of 7 Apricot City to host the Dao Fruit Auction. In these 10 days, many experts from the U country came to 7 Apricot City in order to participate in the Dao Fruit Auction. There were both righteous and evil cultivators, and most of them were harmonious spirit old monsters. These experts were received by Situ and Yuchi, and they stayed in the southern market square of 7 Apricot City. But today, Ning Fan received a message from Yuchi, and his eyes immediately sank. Among the guests that came to 7 Apricot City, one of them was from the Heavenly Beast School. Heavenly Beast School. A school that Ning Fan always thought about. His little brother was currently in the Heavenly Beast School. Heavenly Beast School's outer sect elder, Wu Dongnan, late harmonious spirit cultivation, 2nd revolution Dan master identity. His other identity is the All Pleasure School's schoolmaster Sha Juyo's husband in the Sea Fan Palace. Ning Fan held the information with a cold gaze. According to the information, the majority of the male cauldrons sold by the All Pleasure School to the Heavenly Beast School were handled by Wu Dongnan. His little brother, Ning Gu, was also handled by Wu Dongnan and sold to the Heavenly Beast School. With this in mind, Ning Fan's heart naturally could not be comfortable. Soon, he received another piece of information from Situ. After reading this piece of information, Ning Fan's eyes had a hint of anger. After this, Wu Dongnan came to 7 Apricot City. He dared to make an excessive request to 7 Apricot City. He wanted to take away a young girl named Jihe. He dared to have designs on the young mistress of 7 Apricot City. In the Ice Guard's mansion, Commander Nangong was receiving a man in a black robe. This man had a cold expression and a hoarse and old voice. On the surface, he looked young, but in reality, he was a 200-year-old monster. This person was the one that released the tracking mouse to track Jihe. He was an elder of the Heavenly Beast School, named Wu Dongnan. The All Pleasure School was still a branch of my Heavenly Beast School. Han Yuanji did not say anything and destroyed the All Pleasure School. He even stole the cauldron that I had been raising for many years. Is he not putting my Heavenly Beast School in his eyes? Elder Wu's words carried a threatening tone and directly put a big hat on 7 Apricot City. Hee, the Heavenly Beast School is the #1 evil school in the U country. How could our city Lord Han dare to offend them? How could he knowingly steal Elder Wu's cauldron? Does Elder Wu's words have any evidence? If there is no evidence, then don't speak carelessly. Nangong's face was stiff and displeased. Cut the crap and hand over the paper crane. This old man has used the tracking mouse to investigate. That little girl is currently in your 7 Apricot City. Having said this, Wu Dongnan's eyes had a hint of dread, but he quickly calmed down. He heard that for an unknown reason, the old monster was in closed-door cultivation to refine Dan and did not care about worldly matters. Even though he was an elder of the Heavenly Beast School, he was still afraid of Han Yuanji, one of the top 10 experts of the U country. He dared to look down on Nangong and 7 Apricot City, but he did not dare to look down on the old monster. Unless it was a last resort, Wu Dongnan did not want to provoke 7 Apricot City. However, Jihe was born with a charming physique. She was the best cauldron that he had raised in the all-pleasure school for many years, and she was his only hope to break through to the gold core realm. In order to take back Jihe, he would not hesitate to offend Han Yuanji today. The cauldron that you want is called Jihe? Humph. Jihe is the wife of my 7 apricot city's young lord. You opened your mouth and asked for my young lord's wife, are you not putting my 7 apricot city in your eyes? Nangong's eyes became cold. This old man will not talk nonsense with you. Before the end of the Dao fruit gathering, hand over Jihe. Otherwise, your 7 apricot city will become the enemy of my heavenly beast school. Wu Dongnan coldly snorted. You are only an outer elder of the heavenly beast school, yet you dare to represent the heavenly beast school and speak such harsh words to my 7 apricot city? Can you represent the heavenly beast school? Nangong angrily said. Humph, provoking this old man is the same as provoking the heavenly beast school. If you don't believe me, you can try. This old man will say it here, this girl, Jihe, is mine for sure. Wu Dongnan coldly snorted like a fox borrowing the tiger's might, then he flicked his sleeves and left. Only Nangong was left alone with a green and red expression. Among the 3 harmonious spirit commanders, Nangong was the only one that had not submitted to Ning Fan. He had not even met Ning Fan yet. Even so, he would not allow outsiders to insult Ning Fan and covet Ning Fan's woman. This was because Ning Fan was the 7 apricot city's young lord and represented the face of 7 apricot city. This person opened his mouth and asked for the young lord's wife, truly rude. If it was 40 years ago when the city lord led us to kill in all 4 directions, I, Nangong, would absolutely not let him leave 7 apricot city alive, but now Nangong helplessly sighed. In the last 40 years, the old monster rarely massacred sections. The prestige of 7 apricot city was slowly being forgotten by people. A mere Wu Dongnan, a late harmonious spirit ant, dared to cause trouble at 7 apricot city, humph. I wonder how young Lord Ning Fan will deal with Wu Dongnan. Will he submit to Wu Dongnan and give his wife away, or will he kill Wu Dongnan? What will he choose? Nangong's eyes had a faint sense of expectation. Perhaps he could see the young lord's character from his decision. If he was afraid of the heavenly beast school's prestige, then he was not worthy to be his young lord. On the 11th day, the Dao fruit auction officially began. On this day, there were even 3 gold core old devils that arrived at 7 apricot city. The auction palace was unprecedentedly grand. Because today, there would be a Dao fruit of a gold core old devil being auctioned here. Dao fruit was a product condensed from a cultivator's cultivation after their death, and the probability of it appearing was extremely low. In the cultivation world, there were endless battles. If a cultivator was killed, then there would be a very low probability of a Dao fruit appearing. The probability of a gold core Dao fruit appearing was even rarer. Usually, 100 gold core old devils would die in order to produce 1 gold core Dao fruit. The medicinal power of a gold core Dao fruit was enough to allow a vein-opening cultivator to enter the harmonious spirit realm in 1 step. It could also allow a peak harmonious spirit cultivator to enter the gold core realm in 1 step. It could even allow a gold core old devil to save 100 years of bitter cultivation. Chapter 13. The Dao fruit auction was being held here. To participate in this auction, there was a strict cultivation requirement. One had to be at least at the 5th level of vein opening. Within the palace, there was a copper lamp burning with violet flames every 10 steps, and it was eternally bright. Without exception, all of those copper lamps were magic treasures of high quality. Along the way into the auction house, Ning Fan sighed in admiration. Using magical treasures as lamps, this godly void pavilion's wealth was not small. It was indeed worthy of being an ancient power mentioned in the immortal emperor's memories. Next to Ning Fan, there was a person sent by Nangong to lead the way. This person wore an azure robe and was the son of Nangong. His name was Nan Wei, and he had cultivated to the half-step harmonious spirit realm. He was an inner disciple of the sinister sparrow school. Today, he specially came back to 7 Apricot City to see the Dao fruit auction. Nan Wei's personality was bold and unrestrained. He only met Ning Fan for a short while, but he already had a deep conversation with him. Along the way, he was like a chatterbox, talking non-stop with a bit of the demeanor of an old monster. His enthusiasm made Ning Fan a bit unaccustomed. "Does young lord know, this blue ice has a great origin? I heard. Does young lord know, why this purple flame never extinguishes? I heard. Young lord, look, there is a beauty over there, this waist, this figure. Young lord, why aren't you saying anything? I heard that brother Nan is an inner disciple of the sinister sparrow school." Ning Fan finally opened his mouth and continued the conversation. "Yes, for this Dao fruit auction, this little brother specially came back from the main school." "Oh right, from the sinister sparrow school. Besides this little brother, there is another person that came to 7 Apricot City. Does young lord know who it is?" "Who?" Ning Fan casually asked with an uninterested appearance. He was not like a young man, but more like an old man. "It is a beauty." Nan Wei was fascinated. "Oh." Ning Fan answered indifferently. He had little interest in beauties. Is young lord really the city lord's disciple? Why is his personality so cold?" "Young lord should know, that beauty and young lord have a great relationship. She is the fiancée that the city lord chose for young lord." Ning Fan raised his eyebrows and was speechless. When did the old monster choose a fiancée for him? Didn't he already have Jiha? City Lord joined the Sinister Sparrow sect 40 years ago and made an agreement with the sect master that if he accepted a disciple in the future, he would let the disciple marry the sect master's daughter. 40 years ago? Is this the betrothal that old monster arranged for me? Ning Fan felt a headache coming on. 40 years ago, he wasn't even born yet, and he had nothing to do with the old monster, yet he was already betrothed to him. The daughter of the Sinister Sparrow sect master, Lan Mei, has a peerless beauty, and because of her status, she has many suitors. However, this woman was proud and arrogant. She rarely spoke to men and had always been dissatisfied with this child betrothal. If she sees young lord, I'm afraid she will make things difficult for young lord. When that time comes, young lord just needs to accommodate her a little. Nan Wei kindly reminded Ning Fan. He kept blinking his eyes at Ning Fan. His meaning was clear. Men should coax women. Accommodating a little wouldn't make them lose a layer of skin. Only with thick skin could they capture a beauty's heart. Are we still going to accommodate her? Ning Fan knitted his brows. He did not like arrogant women. Thus, he did not pay too much attention to this child marriage. After entering the inner palace, the lighting was slightly dim. The inner palace of the auction palace was divided into 3 floors. The seats were arranged in a ring shape, and in the center was a crystal stage used to display the auction items. The auctioneer was none other than himself. This time, he would be the host of the auction. He would be the one to handle this grand scene, and this was also the deliberate arrangement of the old monster. Compared to the disciples of the sects who followed the conventional path of cultivation, the old monster clearly wanted to train a disciple that could take charge of everything. Even though Ning Fan had not cultivated for long, because of the hard life during his childhood, he was very clear about the ways of the world. He also had the memories of the immortal emperors, so he did not have stage fright. The auction had not yet begun. Ning Fan's eyes lightly swept across the inner palace. The seats on the first floor were all vein opening cultivators. Only harmonious spirit cultivators were qualified to sit on the second floor. The third floor was for gold core old devils, and there were only 3 people sitting there. The seats of these 3 old devils were separated by jade curtains that could block vision and divine sense. One could not see the appearance of the gold core old devils. At the entrance to the second floor, there was a clamor as if something had happened. The maids that received the guests in the palace were all cultivators. Each of them were as beautiful as flowers and jade with enchanting clothing. They belonged to the godly void pavilion and seemed to have a natural arrogant temperament. Towards vein-opening cultivators, they would only coldly point the way. Only towards harmonious spirit cultivators would they reveal a slight smile, but that was it. Only when facing gold core old devils would they say a few polite words. At this moment, two maids were coldly blocking in front of a young girl in blue. The young girl in blue wanted to go up to the second floor, but the godly void pavilion lord had ordered that those who had not reached harmonious spirit could not go up to the second floor. No matter what, they would not let her go up. Sorry, the master has ordered that those who have not reached harmonious spirit cannot go up to the second floor. The two maids arrogantly said. The young girl in blue frowned and said, I am half-step harmonious spirit, and with this command token, can I go up? My school's elder is up there. I have something I need to find him for, can the two of you make an exception? The young girl in blue waved her hand, and a black jade command token with the totem of the dark sparrow engraved on it appeared. The nearby cultivators sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw the token. Even a few harmonious spirit old monsters who passed by had their eyes filled with uncertainty when they saw the token. This is Sinister Sparrow Sect's young master's token. This young girl in blue has this token, could she be the daughter of Sinister Sparrow Sect's master? If that's the case, she should have the qualifications to go up to the second floor. Unfortunately, the two maids came from the godly void pavilion and simply did not care about Sinister Sparrow Sect's face. They did not even look at the command token. Their expressions were the same as before, and their tone was still cold. Master has ordered that those who have not reached harmonious spirit cannot go up to the second floor. The young girl in blue frowned even tighter. She didn't expect that this godly void pavilion would be so unreasonable. She could not help but faintly sigh. Behind her was a young master in white. Seeing the young girl in blue sigh, he immediately stepped forward and waved his folding fan. An early harmonious spirit aura immediately spread out and directly pressed down on the two maids. Mere maids, how dare you look down on my Sinister Sparrow Sect's young master, courting death. The moment the aura was released, the two maids' lips were bleeding, and their beautiful eyes were filled with anger. The young master in white wanted to make a move, but was stopped by the young girl in blue. Forget it, if you don't want to go up then don't. Wait until the auction is over, then find the elder to report this matter. Hopefully, the Supreme Void Sect will not act so fast. Senior brother, bye, let's go to the first floor and find a seat. Humph. Out of respect for junior sister, I will spare you this once. The young master in white spoke arrogantly, but he was still persuaded by the young girl in blue. He turned around and walked towards the seats on the first floor. When they turned around, they saw Ning Fan's group watching the fun from the side. The young master in white immediately saw Nan Wei. He was also from the Sinister Sparrow Sect, so they obviously knew each other. However, it seemed like they did not have a good relationship with Nan Wei. He coldly snorted and turned his head away. As for the young girl in blue, seeing Nan Wei following behind Ning Fan, she couldn't help but carefully examine Ning Fan's cultivation. She found out that Ning Fan was only at the 5th level of vein opening, so she felt a bit strange. She wondered why a half-step harmonious spirit like Nan Wei would be so respectful towards Ning Fan. Junior brother Nan, this is the young girl in blue indifferently asked. Ah, let me introduce. This is the 7 Apricot Sect's young master, Ning Fan. This is the Sinister Sparrow Sect's young master, Lan Mei. Nan Wei finished speaking and winked at Ning Fan. His expression seemed to be saying, this beauty is your fiancée, why are you not going to greet her and get on her good side? Unfortunately, Ning Fan automatically ignored Nan Wei's expression and only nodded towards Lan Mei as a sign of goodwill. As for Lan Mei, after hearing Ning Fan's identity, she suddenly frowned and asked, you are Alchemist Han's disciple, Ning Fan? Oh. You know me? Ning Fan was a bit surprised. He had only cultivated the evil path for a few days, but his name had already spread to the Sinister Sparrow Sect? I didn't know at first, but after coming to 7 Apricot City, I found out. Ning Fan, I hope you understand one thing. It is impossible between you and me. I only like strong people. I hope that when you arrive at the Sinister Sparrow Sect in the future, you will not pester me. Lan Mei's tone was indifferent without any humiliation. There was only a coldness that kept people at 1,000 miles away. Why would I pester you? Ning Fan slightly smiled and asked in reply. He brushed past her and Nan Wei hurriedly followed. There were thousands of women in this world, it was not only her, Lan Mei. This girl was thinking too highly of herself. Ning Fan's indifference made Lan Mei slightly surprised, but she didn't say anything. No matter what, she wouldn't accept the marriage arranged by her father. She had her own reasons, but she wouldn't tell outsiders. In the end, she and Ning Fan had nothing to do with each other. The white-robed young master behind Lan Mei didn't interrupt, but he heard the entire conversation between the two. He looked at Ning Fan's back and narrowed his eyes dangerously as he said with disdain. Little junior sister, is this your fiancé? Hee, 5th level vein opening cultivation, not much. How about you consider older brother? Older brother is already a harmonious spirit expert, so he is worthy of you, but he is not. Sorry, older brother, I am not interested in him, and I am not interested in you. I am not interested in men. Lan Mei rubbed her forehead and really wanted to tell the white-robed young master her thoughts. If the school lord forces you to marry him, you will really have to marry him. The white-robed young master unhappily said. If I can't refuse, then I can only marry him. Lan Mei said with a bit of melancholy. Why? He is only at the 5th level vein opening, how can he be worthy of you? This marriage is extremely absurd. The white-robed young master fiercely stared at Ning Fan's back, wishing he could cut Ning Fan into 1,000 pieces. Lan Mei, whom he tried so hard to pursue, unexpectedly had a marriage with Ning Fan. This was truly unacceptable. Suddenly, the white-robed young master saw an unbelievable scene. Ning Fan and Nan Wei, under the respectful gaze of the two maids, went up to the 2nd floor. Only harmonious spirit cultivators could go up to the 2nd floor. What is the meaning of this? Didn't you say that those without a harmonious spirit cultivation cannot go up? How can he go up? The white-robed young master angrily said. Young Master Ning is the auctioneer of this auction. In this auction palace, where can he not go? The two maids looked at the white-robed young master like they were looking at an idiot. He is the auctioneer. Impossible. How can a mere 5th level vein opening host such an important auction? Does he have this kind of experience? Can he suppress all the cultivators here? The white-robed young master coldly snorted. The blue-robed girl had a strange expression. A mere 5th level vein opening was able to host such an important auction. It seemed like his fiancé's ability was not bad. On the 2nd floor of the auction palace, Ning Fan took Nan Wei around the 2nd floor and then went back to the 1st floor as if nothing had happened. While passing by the seats of the Heavenly Beast Schools, Ning Fan inadvertently glanced at Wu Dongnan from the Heavenly Beast Schools and memorized this person's appearance in his mind. This was the person who was scheming for his jihad. Courting death. Ning Fan flicked his finger, and a few red powder fell from his fingernail. It turned into a wisp of fragrance and fell on Wu Dongnan's body. This powder was an ancient secret medicine that Ning Fan specially made before coming to the auction. It was specifically used to track enemies. A wisp of hallucination fragrance could travel 1,000 miles. As long as Wu Dongnan was not more than 1,000 miles away from Ning Fan could use a special method to keep track of Wu Dongnan's whereabouts. Until the fragrance dissipated. He went up to the 2nd floor in order to make a move against Wu Dongnan. Once the auction was over, Ning Fan would make his move. Nan Wei felt very strange. He didn't know why Ning Fan went up to the 2nd floor, but he tactfully didn't ask. His father, Nan Gong, repeatedly told him that the young lord was not as simple as he looked on the surface and couldn't be judged with common sense. Okay, I have to go preside over the auction. Brother Nan, go back first and tell Yuchi and Situ that everything is ready. Once the auction is over, we will make our move. Ning Fan's tone was very light, but there was a hint of murderous intent that vaguely appeared. Nan Wei didn't know what Ning Fan was talking about, but he still nodded and ran to pass on the message. Time slowly passed by, and the auction palace was filled with cultivators. However, with a loud bang, the doors of the auction palace closed. Inside the auction hall, 1,500 copper lamps lit up with a purple flame at the same time, brightly illuminating the hall. On the crystal platform, an old man coughed twice and released the aura of an early gold core cultivator, causing the entire place to become silent. Countless cultivators gasped. They didn't expect that the host of today's auction would be a gold core old devil. Gold core old devils, even in the entire U country, were extremely rare experts. The Godly Void Pavilion was very generous, using a gold core old devil as the auctioneer. This old man is Yun Xiu, under the order of the Godly Void Pavilion Lord. I came here to be the vice-auctioneer. The words of the gold core old man shocked everyone. Auctioneers were divided into vice and vice. If the vice-auctioneer was a gold core old devil, then how could the auctioneer be a nascent soul old devil? Nascent soul. Thinking of these two words, no one didn't suck in a cold breath. This was an expert that only a powerful cultivation country could have. Among the top 10 experts of the U country, there were good and evil, but none of them could break through to the nascent soul realm. In the U country, a gold core cultivator was the strongest. If they could see the elegance of a nascent soul senior in this auction, then it would absolutely be the fortune of 3 lifetimes. But unfortunately, they were destined to be disappointed because the auctioneer on the crystal platform was not a nascent soul expert, but Ning Fan. Why is it a 5th level vein opening junior? Is he the auctioneer? Are you kidding me? Such an important auction, letting a junior preside over it, can he even do it? Sure. I heard that old monster Han accepted a disciple. It seems to be this person. What is his name again? Let me think. Who cares who he is? Even if he is the old monster's disciple, he still does not have the qualifications to come here. Get out. This is not a place for you to play. The auction palace was suddenly in an uproar. Even the 3 gold core old devils on the 3rd floor frowned. What is the Godly Void Pavilion doing? How could they let a vein opening junior preside over such an important auction? One had to know that the entire U country was paying attention to this Dao Fruit convention. Was the Godly Void Pavilion not afraid that such a grand auction would be ruined by a junior? On the 2nd floor of the venue, Nangong looked at Ning Fan's expression from afar. Seeing Ning Fan's calm demeanor and not weak in front of a gold core old devil, he smiled and nodded. After hearing Nan Wei's report that Ning Fan seemed to want the apricot guards and sword guards to prepare for some action, Nangong's eyes slightly flashed, but in the end, he only smiled. It seemed like the young lord did not disappoint him and was preparing to kill Wu Dongnan after the auction. This disciple of the city lord was not bad at all. The vice-auctioneer named Yun Xiu normally had his eyes on the top of his head. Even when facing harmonious spirit cultivators, he would look at them like they were juniors and would not speak politely. But after Ning Fan arrived, Yun Xiu's gaze towards Ning Fan was strangely respectful. So much so that when Ning Fan stepped onto the crystal platform, Yun Xiu consciously took a few steps back and stood behind Ning Fan, implying that he was under Ning Fan. The crowd was all amazed. What kind of magical power did Ning Fan have to make a gold core old devil so respectful? Ning Fan was also very surprised and did not understand why a gold core Yun Xiu would be so respectful towards him. Something abnormal was definitely a demon, and he did not know what was behind this respect. Young noble Ning, please preside over the auction. Yun Xiu laughed and said. I am Ning Fan, the disciple of alchemist Han, the young lord of 7 Apricot City. Today, I am representing my master to preside over this Dao Fruit auction. First, I will announce the rules of the auction. First, Ning Fan had not finished speaking when the young noble in white robes next to Lan Mei suddenly sneered and said, "What are you blabbering about? Hurry up and start the auction. We did not come here to listen to a vein-opening junior's nonsense." The young noble in white robes was a harmonious spirit cultivator, so his words carried some weight. He was jealous of Ning Fan, so he wanted to humiliate Ning Fan at this moment. But as soon as he finished speaking, his expression greatly changed. On the crystal platform, Ning Fan's cold as a sword gaze floated over. Suddenly, there was an ink-black aura of fire sweeping across the entire auction palace. All of the vein-opening cultivators here felt a sense of crisis from this black flame. Even a few harmonious spirit old devils revealed a look of dread towards Ning Fan. Sure enough, this vein-opening junior was not as simple as he looked on the surface. Others were only affected by the black flame's aura, but the young noble in white robes was at the center of the aura. Even with his early harmonious spirit cultivation, he immediately felt a pain in his chest and coughed out blood. How is this possible? He is only a vein-opening cultivator, how could he injure me in one strike? The young noble in white robes was tongue-tied. At this moment, all eyes were focused on Ning Fan's body with extreme dread. First, those who dare to cause trouble in this auction will be killed without mercy. Ning Fan's tone was calm, but this time, the entire auction house was silent. Obviously, Ning Fan's strength had obtained the recognition and respect of the participants. On the third floor, aside from the 3 gold core old devils, there was also a black-clothed girl with a veil covering her face. Her eyes carried a sly smile. Chapter 14. Second, the items in the auction will be appraised by me and priced by me. You can choose not to believe it, but you cannot question it. Otherwise, kill. Third, the highest bidder wins. Those who use their cultivation to disturb the fairness, kill. Ning Fan's calm demeanor was nothing like a young man. This caused many old devils to look at him in a new light and not dare to look down on him. Ning Fan's elegance fell into Lan Mei's eyes and became even more unbelievable. She had seen many youths, but none of them had this kind of elegance. The young noble in white next to Lan Mei unwillingly wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Ning Fan being able to injure him with a 5th-level vein-opening cultivation meant that he had some methods. However, daring to injure this young noble, this grudge will be formed today. On the 2nd floor of the auction palace, Wu Dongnan slightly frowned. He didn't think that Ning Fan, a 5th-level vein-opening youth, could injure a harmonious spirit. This child is the 7-apricot young lord? He is not as weak as the information said. Is Jihe in his hands? I don't know if he touched that little girl or not. That is my cauldron. If he dares to touch my cauldron, even if he is Han Yuanji's disciple, he will still pay the price. After Ning Fan announced the rules, the auction officially began. He clapped his hands, and 2 beautiful maids walked onto the crystal stage. They placed the auction items on the auction table on the stage for the crowd to see. The first item was a rusty copper sword. The scabbard was made of wood and was already a bit decayed. It seemed to be quite old. The sword was only a low-rank spirit treasure and the scabbard was carved from ordinary wood with poor craftsmanship. The vein-opening cultivators present could not see through the rusty sword. The harmonious spirit experts on the 2nd floor also could not see through the mysteries of this sword. Only the 3 gold core cultivators on the 3rd floor could see some clues and couldn't help but take a deep breath. The patterns on the rusty sword cannot be wrong. It is a weapon of the ancient heavenly court. This is an ancient sword from before the collapse of the heaven and earth. The 3 gold core old devils recognized the origin of the rusty sword, but they immediately shook their heads. The ancient heavenly court had existed for too long. If this sword was a weapon from that era, then its power would have long been exhausted and it would not have much use. At most, it could be sold for 100 immortal jades. The crowd of cultivators looked at Ning Fan, waiting to see how he would appraise the sword. Ning Fan, the 7-apricot young lord, was the auctioneer invited by the Godly Void Pavilion to preside over the auction. Before the auction, he did not understand the auction items, so he had to estimate the starting price of the items on the spot before bidding. Ning Fan touched the body of the sword with one of his fingers and his eyes flickered. When he touched the scabbard, his expression also changed. After a moment of silence, he said something shocking. This sword is very old and has lost all of its power. Its value shouldn't exceed 100 immortal jades. But with the copper rust on the sword, it's worth at least 10,000 immortal jades. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire place fell silent. In the next moment, the entire place was in an uproar, and everyone was discussing animatedly. 10,000 immortal jade. That was enough to buy 10 new flying swords. What kind of copper rust was it? It was actually worth 10,000 immortal jades. This Ning fellow is just randomly shouting out prices. A weapon of the ancient heavenly court. Hee, we don't collect antiques. What's the use of a powerless flying sword? Speaking of which, since the godly Void Pavilion dared to use this rusted sword as the first auction item, perhaps this sword really is extraordinary. Could it really be as this kid said? Is there something strange about the copper rust on this sword? On the third floor, the two gold core old devils frowned and repeatedly shook their heads. 10,000 immortal jades was the price of a high-grade spirit treasure. This sword was clearly trash, so how could it be worth so much money? As for the copper rust, they couldn't see anything special about it. Could this kid be talking nonsense? Only the third gold core old devil couldn't sit still. When he heard the two words copper rust, his eyes stared at the rusted sword in the middle of the stage, and his heart pounded. Could it be? Could it be? Could it be that this sword rust is actually but, what if it isn't? This gold core old devil began to hesitate again. On the crystal platform, Yun Xiao was also very surprised. Ning Fan's bid of 10,000 immortal jades was actually very accurate. Yun Xiao knew the origin of this rusted sword. Moreover, it was the godly Void Pavilion Master who personally described it. The Pavilion Master's price was also around 10,000 immortal jades. The Pavilion Master once asserted that non-nascent soul old devils couldn't see the uniqueness of this copper rust. However, Ning Fan estimated the same price as the Pavilion Master and saw the uniqueness of this copper rust. This kid's eyesight was very sharp. He wasn't a nascent soul old devil, but he could see that this copper rust was not ordinary. Before, Yun Xiao was polite to Ning Fan because the Pavilion Master told him not to neglect the people of Seven Apricot City. At this moment, he had respect for Ning Fan from the bottom of his heart. Just based on Ning Fan's eyesight, he couldn't underestimate him. 10,000 immortal jades. Buy a rusted sword. No need to ask, this Ning Fan must be randomly bidding. The white-robed young master next to Lan Mei suddenly said in a clear voice. His voice used the imposing manner of a harmonious spirit cultivation, causing his voice to immediately cover the noise and discussions in the field, entering everyone's ears. There were many people who doubted the rusted sword's price. When the white-robed young master opened his mouth, many old devils immediately fell to the ground and blamed Ning Fan for randomly bidding, blaming the godly Void Pavilion for choosing the wrong auctioneer. There were even a few hot-tempered old devils that directly threatened Ning Fan to get off the stage and let Yun Xiao host the auction. The scene momentarily went out of control, and the calls for Ning Fan to get out of the auction house became louder and louder. Seeing this, the white-robed young master's eyes had a hint of pleasure. Ning Fan injured him, so he will humiliate Ning Fan and borrow the crowd's momentum to force Ning Fan to get out. Older brother, don't forget, this is Seven Apricot City. Is it really okay to provoke the Seven Apricot young lord here? Lan Mei on the side frowned and reminded him with a faintly displeased expression. She also didn't think that a rusted sword could be sold for 10,000 immortal jades, but she disliked the white-robed young master's behavior even more. Since Ning Fan was the auctioneer, they should give him a certain amount of respect. If he bid 10,000 immortal jades, then it must be this price. If the price was too high and no one bid, then at most, this item would be left unsold. If they really kicked Ning Fan, this Seven Apricot young lord, out of the auction house, then this matter wouldn't end well. Kicking out a young lord in someone else's territory, did these people's brains get kicked by a donkey? They actually dared to make such a ruckus, aren't they afraid of Ning Fan's master, old monster Han, taking revenge? Oh. Everyone feels that Ning Fan's valuation is too high. Ning Fan frowned and slightly released his aura, causing the ruckus in the auction house to immediately quiet down. Even though he was a cultivation rookie, he inherited the memories of an immortal emperor. He could still see some of the extraordinariness of this sword. The valuation of 10,000 immortal jades was definitely not high. I still feel that the price of 10,000 is too low. Everyone can be at ease. If no one bids for this sword in this auction, then I will use my identity as the 7-apricot young lord to buy this sword. If that's the case, are all of you willing to believe that I'm not bidding randomly? Ning Fan continued. When Ning Fan's voice fell, the entire auction house became silent again. If this sword was left unsold, then Ning Fan would use his own money to buy it. Could this sword really be extraordinary? The uproar caused by the white-robed young master was calmed down by Ning Fan's 2 sentences. To be able to control such a large scene, this was ability. To be able to decisively take out 10,000 immortal jades to buy the rusted sword, this was courage. Lan Mei's eyes flashed with a strange splendor. Even a gold-core old devil wouldn't take out 10,000 immortal jades to recklessly squander, but Ning Fan opened his mouth and said 10,000 immortal jades. This was the first time Lan Mei saw a young man with such courage. Wait a minute. This sword, this old man is a bit interested. A gold-core imposing voice suddenly came from the 3rd floor. Suddenly, it once again caused the entire auction house to discuss. A rusted sword being sold for 10,000 immortal jades, and there was actually someone who wanted it. Moreover, the person who wanted it was a gold-core old devil. It seems like this 7-apricot young lord truly did not estimate the price wrongly. On the 3rd floor, the gold-core old devil hesitated for a long time before finally lifting the curtain and jumping down from the 3rd floor. He landed on the auction stage and politely cupped his fists towards Ning Fan. Only then did everyone recognize the identity of this gold-core old devil. It turned out to be one of the top 10 experts of the Yu country, Qin Ziyu, Old Devil Qin. Little friend Ning, you said that the copper rust on the sword is extraordinary and worth 10,000 immortal jades. Is there any proof? Hee, this old man has a doubt in his heart and wants to ask little friend to answer it for me. If little friend's answer can satisfy this old man will certainly give a gift as thanks. What a joke, the stingy old devil Qin would actually give someone a gift as thanks. Could it be that this rusted sword is so important to him? In order to ask a question, he even got rid of his stinginess and gave a gift to a vein opening junior with the identity of a gold-core old devil. If an ordinary vein opening cultivator were to face a gold-core old devil, they would certainly be intimidated by the aura of a gold-core old devil. Ning Fan had inherited the memories of the immortal emperors, so he was not afraid of old devil Qin's aura. When he heard old devil Qin's question, he answered. This sword has been around for a long time and has lost all of its power. It is not worth mentioning. However, the copper rust on this sword is quite mysterious. It is not real copper, but the blood of an ancient cultivator. It was dyed on the sword and baked in a place of extreme yang for countless years. Only then did it form the yang blood rust. Because it contains a trace of extreme yang sword qi, this copper rust is naturally extraordinary. Hiss, just as Ning Fan's voice fell, countless sounds of inhaling resounded in the hall. Yang blood rust. It turns out to be the yang blood rust that contains extreme yang sword qi. Is this real? This old man has read about this item in ancient books, but this is the first time I have seen it. This item is the most precious treasure for a sword cultivator. If it is really this item, 10,000 is absolutely not expensive. The other 2 gold-core realm cultivators who were indifferent to the rusted sword before also had fiery eyes. Of course, the most excited one was old devil Qin. It is really the yang blood rust? Little friend, are you sure you are not mistaken? Old devil Qin was overjoyed. He had been looking for this item for a long time. It was compatible with his cultivation method. If he had this item, he would have a chance to break through to the nascent soul realm in this lifetime. Junior is confident that I am not mistaken. Whether you believe me or not is Senior's business. Good. This sword is 10,000 immortal jades. This old man wants it. Ha! As soon as old Devil Chin's voice fell, he was about to pay for the sword, but he was stopped by another voice. Wait! Little friend Ning's price of 10,000 is only the starting price. The bidding has not started yet, and you already want to buy this sword? What a joke! 12,000, this old man wants this sword. This old man is also a sword cultivator. If I can get this sword, it will definitely be beneficial. On the third floor, one of the two gold core realm cultivators said excitedly. 14,000. This old man is not a sword cultivator, but behind this old man, there is a person who has a deep understanding of sword Dao. This old man also wants this sword. The other gold core realm cultivator argued 15,000. 17,000. 20,000. Old Devil Chin was angry. Before he could speak, the price of the rusted sword had been raised to 20,000 immortal jades by the two old devils, and it was still rising. He had been looking for this young blood rust for many years. Today, even if he had to spend all his wealth, he would get it. No one could compete with him. 21,000. Gold core realm 23,000. Old Devil Chin was angry. 33,000. Old Devil Chin was angry. 31,000. Gold core realm 33,000. Gold core realm B 40,000. Old Devil Chin was even angrier. His heart was bleeding. As stingy as he was, this was the first time he bought something at such a high price. When the price of the rusted sword climbed to 40,000, the two gold core realm cultivators finally fell silent and did not want to compete for this sword anymore. In the end, old Devil Chin bought this rusted sword with a high price of 40,000 immortal jades. He felt both pain and joy. He did not bring much money this time, only a little more than 40,000 immortal jades. After buying the rusted sword, it was not enough to compete for the gold core Dao fruit. Gold core Dao fruit. This was the finale item of this auction. The majority of the old devils came for this item. Unfortunately, he had no money to compete for the gold core Dao fruit. There was no benefit in staying, so he could leave. Thus, after buying the rusted sword, old Devil Chin slightly cupped his fists towards Ning Fan, then turned around and left. Little friend's eyes are excellent, you even know about the young blood rust. This old man admires you. Goodbye. Wait, I will explain it to Senior. Where is the gift that Senior promised Junior? Are you not going to give it to Junior? Ning Fan's expression remained unchanged, but his heart was speechless. This old Devil Chin's eyes were evasive, as if he wanted to run away and not give him the gift. That was the gift that old Devil Chin promised himself. Was he trying to renege on the debt? Ha, look at this old man's memory. I was too happy and forgot to give little friend a gift. Old Devil Chin laughed on the surface, but in his heart, he was cursing Ning Fan's shrewdness. He spent 40,000 immortal jades to buy the rusted sword, which was already a huge loss. With his stingy character, he actually didn't want to give Ning Fan a gift. Troublesome, truly troublesome. Earlier, he was excited and said that he wanted to give Ning Fan a gift. If he didn't give it now, then he would not be able to get out of this embarrassing situation. Old Devil Chin's eyes suddenly fell on the rotten wooden scabbard of the rusted sword in his hand. He let out a strange laugh, took off the scabbard, and threw it to Ning Fan. Hee, this old man bought this sword for 40,000 immortal jades. This scabbard should be worth at least 1 or 2,000 immortal jades. I will give it to little brother, farewell. Old Devil Chin wretchedly smiled and left the auction house. After he left, the auction house immediately burst into boos. Old Devil Chin was indeed famous for being stingy. He actually gave a rotten wooden scabbard as a gift. This kind of shameful thing, perhaps only old Devil Chin would do. After the boos, there was a sigh. Who would have thought that the first item in this auction would be sold for a high price of 40,000 immortal jades? They didn't know if there would be more good things like this later on. All the cultivators in the auction house were looking forward to the continuation of the auction. No one doubted Ning Fan's eyesight as an auctioneer anymore. He actually didn't estimate the price wrong. The white-robed young noble's face was burning. He was the one who led the crowd to jeer, but now, he was slapped in the face. The facts proved that Ning Fan's estimate of 10,000 immortal jades was not high, and there were people who wanted it even at a high price of 40,000. That old devil Qin is truly stingy. He actually gave me a rotten scabbard to fool me. Ning Fan held the scabbard in his hand and smiled with a profound meaning. There was one thing that Ning Fan hid from everyone. The first item in the Godly Void Pavilion, the rusted sword itself, was not worth much. The valuable thing was the young blood rust on the sword. But what moved Ning Fan even more than the young blood rust was the rotten wooden scabbard that held the rusted sword. Bystanders could not see the greatness of the scabbard, but Ning Fan had the eyesight of an immortal emperor. He could vaguely see that the scabbard was not ordinary. If Ning Fan was not wrong, this scabbard was clearly hiding a strand of sword intent. Even after thousands of years, it still had not disappeared. The sword was rusted, but the sword intent did not disappear in the passage of time. What kind of powerful sword intent was this? This scabbard was absolutely not an ordinary item. That old devil Qin did not know what was good and actually treated the scabbard as trash. He gave it to Ning Fan. This was truly like buying a casket and returning the pearls. Next, the second treasure will be auctioned. Ning Fan put the scabbard back into his sleeve and continued to host the auction. On the third floor, the veiled young girl in a black dress suddenly smiled slyly. Her beautiful eyes that looked at Ning Fan slightly flashed as if she had confirmed something. A young man who just stepped on the path of cultivation was able to recognize the young blood rust and seemed to be able to see the greatness of the scabbard. Yin Yang Locket, it shouldn't be on your body, right? Bystanders do not understand the Yin Yang Locket, but my Godly Void Pavilion understands it the most. Ancient Chaos Inheritance, I wonder how it compares to my Godly Void Inheritance. If you really are the inheritor of Ancient Chaos Inheritance, then between you and me, there will be a chance to determine who is superior, right? Chapter 15. The third auction item, White Camel Dan, a third revolution Dan, 20 pills per bottle, able to increase a harmonious spirit cultivation. Starting price, 800 immortal jades. The fourth item, the fifth item outside of the shocking first auction item, the rest of the items were a bit ordinary. At most, harmonious spirit cultivators would fight for them, but no gold core old devils from the third floor made a move. After old freak Qin left, the remaining 2 gold core old devils were calculating their wealth, waiting to bid for the real finale item, the gold core Dao fruit. Unless they saw something particularly tempting, they would not waste immortal jades to bid. While Ning Fan was presiding over the auction, he was secretly watching Wu Dongnan. The 12th auction item was a section of purple coral. After Ning Fan's appraisal, it had the effect of increasing a harmonious spirit's divine sense, so it was won by Wu Dongnan for 1,000 immortal jades. The 19th auction item was a mid-rank spirit sword. After Ning Fan's appraisal, this sword contained the shadow chasing ability, so it was won by Wu Dongnan for 1,500 immortal jades. The 22nd auction item was a mid-rank immortal cloud spirit equipment with unparalleled speed, so it was won by Wu Dongnan for 2,000 immortal jades. It seems like Wu Dongnan brought a lot of immortal jades this time. Unfortunately, no matter how much you buy, you won't have the life to enjoy it. Once the auction is over, I will make my move against this Wu Dongnan. Time slowly passed, and the auction finally came to an end. The last item was a jade brocade box. The box was sealed by magical power, but there were ripples of the Grand Tao flowing out from the box. The fragrance of the brocade box was even more intoxicating. Just one breath was enough to increase one's magical power by a bit. This item didn't need Ning Fan's appraisal and introduction, everyone's eyes were already burning with desire. Dao fruit. Moreover, it was a Dao fruit left behind by a gold core old devil. Gold core Dao fruit, starting price, 20,000 immortal jades. Ning Fan's voice had just finished, but it was immediately drowned out by the rising and falling bids. 25,000, 30,000. 35,000, 50,000. In just a moment, the price of the Dao fruit reached 50,000. The one who called out 50,000 immortal jades was a gold-core old devil on the third floor. This price was the sum of his lifetime savings. 60,000 immortal jades. Another gold-core old devil was not to be outdone. He was also determined to obtain the gold-core Dao fruit. The wealth of 60,000 immortal jades was enough to establish a small sect. The other golden-core old monster's expression turned ugly. He couldn't take out so much money to bid. 70,000 immortal jades. Someone on the second floor shouted. Everyone's eyes swept over to the second floor and found that the one who was competing with the two gold-core old devils for the Dao fruits was the Heavenly Beast School's outer elder, Wu Dongnan. With Wu Dongnan's late harmonious spirit cultivation, he absolutely could not take out 70,000 immortal jades. Without a doubt, this was the money provided by the Heavenly Beast School behind him. Being preempted by Wu Dongnan, a harmonious spirit junior, the two gold-core old devils' faces turned ugly. After shouting out the price of 70,000, Wu Dongnan immediately stood up and bowed to the two gold-core old monsters on the third floor with a respectful expression, trying to calm the anger of the two gold-core old monsters. Senior Chu, Senior Lu, this Dao fruit is something that I, sect leader Wu Xia, want. I hope that the two of you will give face to sect leader Wu Xia and not fight with me for this item. Upon hearing the words, Sect Master Wu Xia, countless demons gasped, and the expressions of the two gold-core realm cultivators changed slightly. They were moved and fearful. One of the gold-core old monsters hesitantly asked, rumor has it that sect leader Wu Xia went into seclusion to break through to the nascent soul realm several decades ago. Could it be that he has already broken through to the nascent soul realm? Sect leader has not reached the nascent soul realm, but he is already at the false nascent realm, so he needs something to break through to the next realm. He must have this Dao fruit. After Wu Dongnan finished speaking, the two gold-core old monsters were bewildered. The Heavenly Beast School's sect leader, Si Wuxia, was already at the false nascent realm and was about to break through to the nascent soul realm. In the Yu country, there had never been a nascent soul old monster. If Si Wuxia broke through to nascent soul, then from now on, no one in the Yu country would dare to offend the Heavenly Beast School. The two usually relied on their gold core cultivation to be high and mighty, but in the eyes of these nascent soul old monsters, gold core cultivators were only ants that could be destroyed with a wave of their hand. Ah, haha, if this is something that sect leader Wu Xia wants, then if we forcefully buy it, then I'm afraid that a fatal disaster will arrive. I won't fight for this item anymore, goodbye. The two old monsters finished speaking and directly went down to the third floor. They wryly smiled and left the Ice God Palace. There was no meaning in staying here. They didn't dare to compete with the Heavenly Beast School for the Dao fruit. Seeing the two gold core old monsters leave, Wu Dongnan took a deep breath and went to the auction stage to pay the money. He then carefully put away the Dao fruit box. This trip could be considered as a successful completion of the sect's mission. The rest of the matter was a private matter. He must take away that natural bewitching woman from 7 Apricot City. Ding ding, ding ding, ding ding, a sound suddenly came from Wu Dongnan's storage pouch. He patted the pouch and took out a jade tablet with a flowing light. He then used a technique on the jade tablet. Suddenly, an old man's voice came out from the jade tablet. It turned out that this jade tablet was a sound-transmitting tablet that could be used to communicate with others. Did you win the Dao fruit? Vaguely, the person speaking had the aura of an intermediate gold core cultivator. Replying to second elder, I won it. Wu Dongnan respectfully replied. Then come back quickly. Don't delay on the road. The schoolmaster urgently needs the Dao fruit to cultivate. The old monster's tone was unquestionable. Finished speaking, he directly hung up the sound tablet. Wu Dongnan's expression became a bit ugly. He originally wanted to steal Jihe and then go back, but now, it seemed like he must immediately return to the Heavenly Beast School without further delay. Forget it, there will be plenty of opportunities to steal Jihe. If he returns late, then who knows what kind of punishment the second elder will give him. With this in mind, Wu Dongnan also quickly left the auction house and left 7 Apricot City for the Heavenly Beast School. Gone. Seeing Wu Dongnan leaving, Ning Fan's eyes flashed with an undetectable murderous intent. The gold core Dao fruit was the last auction item. At this point, the auction was officially over. One by one, the evil cultivators began to leave. After saying goodbye to Yun Xiu, Ning Fan also walked outside, but when he passed by Lan Mei, she stopped him. Ning Fan, I want to talk to you about our marriage, no time. Ning Fan's tone was cold as he directly walked past Lan Mei. He still had important matters to attend to, so he didn't have time to talk nonsense with this woman. Ning Fan simply didn't care about the child marriage arranged by the old monster, and he also didn't care about this woman. You. Lan Mei was a bit frustrated. She was the daughter of the sinister Sparrow schoolmaster and had countless suitors, but this was the first time she met a young man with such cold words towards her. At the same time of frustration, there was a different sense of novelty. She felt that Ning Fan was different from all the other young men she had seen before. Ning Fan, tisk, I'll come find you next time. No matter what, the child marriage problem must be solved. Ning Fan quickly left the auction house. The two harmonious spirit commanders, Yuchi and Situ, were already waiting outside. Young lord, the apricot guards and the 900 sword guards are on standby. Wu Dongnan has already left 7 Apricot City, do you want to pursue him? What do you guys think? A cold light flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. Chapter 16. He had the identity of an outer elder of the Heavenly Beast School, and the Heavenly Beast School was a super cultivation sect in the Yu country. Once the name of schoolmaster Wuxia came out, countless cultivators would be afraid. Normally, he would not need to hide in the Yu country. Only a fool would make a move against him and offend the Heavenly Beast School. But this time was different. He had won the golden core Dao fruit. For the sake of this treasure, there was no guarantee that some old monster wouldn't take the risk out of desperation and secretly kill him for his treasure. As a result, Wu Dongnan had no choice but to be careful along the way. He even used the invisibility talisman that he had kept for many years to save his life. Not to mention, along the way, there really were old monsters who wanted to attack Wu Dongnan, but because of the invisibility talisman, they were unable to find his whereabouts. The several hundred tracking mice that Wu Dongnan had scattered outside of 7 Apricot City were hidden in the snowy mountains. If there were any cultivators chasing after Wu Dongnan, the tracking mice would use their special senses to warn Wu Dongnan. At first, no one could track Wu Dongnan's whereabouts. But later, a large number of tracking mice suddenly sounded the alarm at the same time. This made Wu Dongnan's heart sink. He knew that someone was targeting him, but he didn't know which old monster it was. For so many tracking mice to sound the alarm at the same time, it was easy to imagine that there must be a lot of people chasing after him. The other party had obviously come prepared. I didn't think that I would still be targeted despite being so careful. Previously, Wu Dongnan did not dare to spread out his divine sense for fear of being discovered. But now that he was sure that someone was chasing him, he immediately spread out his divine sense to see who was chasing him. Wu Dongnan immediately broke out in a cold sweat when he saw what it was. Not far behind him, there were actually close to 1,000 devil cultivators. They were riding strange beasts and wielding weapons as they chased after him with surging killing intent. Why do they know where I am? Wu Dongnan was greatly alarmed. He did not think that he alone could withstand the encirclement of 1,000 cultivators. There was no mistaking it. The one chasing after him was definitely a well-trained combat division. Moreover, there seemed to be a harmonious spirit commander. If this combat division caught up with him, it would be very dangerous. It's people from 7 Apricot City, it can't be wrong. It is impossible for this old man to mistake the 7 Apricot emblem. 7 Apricot City, this old man was busy sending the Dao fruit back to the sect and didn't find trouble with you, but you dare to find trouble with this old man first. If I don't die and return to the sect, I will definitely ask the sect's Gold Dan to destroy your 7 Apricot City, Wu Dongnan cursed inside, but his feet moved even faster. He continuously changed directions in an attempt to shake off this battalion that was pursuing him. But it was a pity that this battalion seemed to be able to lock onto him and came closer. After 15 minutes, he could clearly hear the shouts of pursuit behind him. Oh no, he's caught up. Wu Dongnan cursed inwardly. Suddenly, he felt a chill on his back and was scared out of his wits. An extremely tyrannical sword aura descended from the sky without any warning, scattering into countless sword auras. Like locusts, like rain, like the Milky Way, all of them slashed toward Wu Dongnan. Wu Dongnan dodged in panic, but he was still injured by the sword qi. The snowy forest where he stood was razed to the ground by the sword qi. Under the vibration of the sword qi, Wu Dongnan was forced to reveal his invisibility. He coughed up blood and raised his head gloomily. 2 harmonious spirit experts were standing in the sky. Wu Dongnan recognized these 2 people. They were 7 Apricot City's Sword Guard and Apricot Guard Commander. Commander Yuchi had a simple and honest personality. Wu Dongnan had seen him several times, but he never put him in his eyes. But this time, he saw Yuchi holding the purple pig while standing in the sky. His face was red and his cultivation had broken through to intermediate harmonious spirit. Impossible. That Yuchi, I know him. He has a weak personality and is not suitable for evil cultivation. How could he break through to intermediate harmonious spirit? Immediately, his eyes glanced at the other person and was shocked. Sword Guard Commander Situ. This person, when did he break through to late harmonious spirit? That sharp and dangerous sword qi just now, could it be that it was him who slashed out? Impossible, when did this person break through to late harmonious spirit? Wu Dongnan's expression changed. Before, he still had a little bit of hope, but now that he saw Yuchi and Situ, he finally understood that he was going to die here today. With his strength alone, he was absolutely not a match for 1,000 combat cultivators and 2 late harmonious spirit experts. Humph. 7 Apricot City is so mighty, using 1,000 people to deal with this old man, truly a great ability. The meaning behind his words was naturally to mock Situ and the others for bullying him with numbers. Situli was too lazy to care about Wu Dongnan. Yuchi picked his ear and impatiently said, "Don't worry. To deal with trash like you, there is no need to bully the few with numbers. Our young lord alone is enough." Young lord? Wu Dongnan seemed to have felt something and suddenly turned around. In front of him, a young man riding a strange beast blocked his path. It was a young man wearing a white robe and a black cloak. He clearly had an elegant demeanor, but his eyes were cold, giving others a feeling of ruthlessness. "It's you. Today's situation, you already planned it before the auction." Wu Dongnan was not stupid. He remembered that before the auction, Ning Fan came to the 2nd floor as if nothing had happened and walked past him. Now that he thought about it, it was very likely that he was tricked by this child at that time. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to use the invisibility talisman and still be tracked by so many people. So what if I am? Ning Fan's expression was cold. This person schemed against Jiha and even ran to 7 Apricot City to bare his fangs and claws. No matter the reason, he would make this person pay the price. Humph, a mere vein-opening brat dares to speak such arrogant words to this old man. Wu Dongnan was so angry that he laughed. He was afraid of Situ and Yuchi, the 2 harmonious spirit experts, as well as 1,000 evil cultivators with murderous intent, not Ning Fan, this ignorant brat. Ning Fan didn't pay attention to Wu Dongnan and got off the strange beast. Unlike during the auction, at this moment, he had a storage pouch on his waist. It was clear that before coming here, he had reorganized a lot of equipment from Situ and Yuchi. This was the first time he used a storage pouch. He patted it and took out a fiery red longsword from inside. It was only a low-rank spirit treasure, nothing more. But with the sword in his hand, Ning Fan's body emitted an aura comparable to a harmonious spirit sword cultivator. Wu Dongnan's eyes immediately shrank and no longer underestimated Ning Fan. Looking around, Wu Dongnan noticed that the 1,000 cultivators surrounding him did not seem to have any intention of making a move against him. It seemed like only Ning Fan would make a move against him, and the others were here to hold the line. What a joke! Did these people think that he, the Grand Wu Dongnan, would lose to a vein opening junior? You want to challenge this old man alone? Wu Dongnan coldly said. That's right, I can use you to test my current strength. Ning Fan expressionlessly replied. Courting death. Wu Dongnan looked as if he had suffered a great humiliation. He loudly roared and flipped his hand to take out 5 talismans and threw them towards Ning Fan. With one throw, the 5 talismans immediately turned into 5 fire birds that were more than 1 zhang in size and fiercely rushed towards Ning Fan. The raging temperature immediately melted the snow in the air. Secretly, his other hand, which was hidden in his sleeve, secretly used a brown talisman. Once the talisman was activated, Wu Dongnan's body immediately turned into a brown light and wanted to drill into the ground to escape. Ning Fan naturally did not want to give Wu Dongnan the chance to escape. Even though he didn't have much fighting experience, the inherited memories from the ancient Chaos Grand Emperor gave him a lot of fighting experience. The moment the 5 fire birds arrived, Ning Fan's body suddenly emitted a strange power that seemed to be able to devour all the flames in the world. In the past, the old monster's black fire dragon was extremely tyrannical and slaughtered everyone in the all-pleasure school, but it was still destroyed and devoured by Ning Fan's lock. Now, these 5 fire birds were not as powerful as the black fire dragon. Once they got close to Ning Fan, they immediately triggered the yin-yang locket inside Ning Fan's dantian to sense them. Before the 5 fire birds could even touch Ning Fan's body, they were forcefully sucked into Ning Fan's dantian by an incredible force and flowed into the yin-yang locket. At the same time, Ning Fan didn't say anything and slashed towards Wu Dongnan where he was drilling into the ground. He didn't give Wu Dongnan the chance to escape and forced him out of the ground with one slash. After failing to escape, Wu Dongnan's face was covered in dirt, but he was even more shocked. He was shocked because Ning Fan easily broke his fire bird talisman. One had to know that even a late harmonious spirit old monster wouldn't be able to do all of this so easily like Ning Fan. This child is absolutely not at the vein opening realm, he must be hiding his cultivation. Wu Dongnan angrily gritted his teeth. No matter what this child's cultivation was, as long as he could escape this time, he would definitely bring people to massacre 7 Apricot City and kill this child to vent his anger. Wanting to escape from the eyes of more than 1,000 people was too difficult. Didn't this Ning Fan want to deal with me by himself? If I can capture him, then I will be able to make the others wary and give them a chance to escape. After making up his mind, Wu Dongnan's figure flashed and he rushed towards Ning Fan. Both of his hands shot out several palm prints in the air towards Ning Fan. Immediately, several fire palm prints headed straight towards Ning Fan. Such a powerful fire palm divine ability. Yuqi's eyes were shocked. He knew that he wouldn't be able to withstand Wu Dongnan's divine ability. Even Situ frowned and clearly felt that this fire palm was very troublesome. Ning Fan, on the other hand, regarded the fire palm as nothing. In fact, before he left, he had already inquired about Wu Dongnan and knew that this person's divine abilities were mostly related to fire. Therefore, he thought about the yin-yang locket's ability to restrain fire. After trying it out, it was indeed effective. At this moment, seeing these fire palm prints again, he naturally wasn't afraid. He let these palm prints approach his body, but they were all sucked away by a mysterious force and disappeared without a trace. How is this possible? This child didn't dodge and actually broke this old man's divine ability. Wu Dongnan's expression greatly changed. He was helpless because he had no other way to go. Only by capturing Ning Fan would he have a chance to escape. The distance between him and Ning Fan was only 10 zhang. Wu Dongnan muttered an incantation and countless flames ignited on the surface of his body. Like a flaming man, he directly rushed towards Ning Fan. The raging flames from this collision were enough to make any late harmonious spirit cultivator pale, but Ning Fan was still expressionless. He simply wasn't afraid of Wu Dongnan's flame divine ability. A blazing hot wind blew towards his face, but Ning Fan faced the direction of Wu Dongnan's collision and also brandished his sword. All of his magical power flowed into the sword in his hand. Wu Dongnan's flame divine ability couldn't hurt him. And this sword of his needed to pour all of his magical power into it in order to give Wu Dongnan a fatal blow. The fire sword transformation divine ability flashed in Ning Fan's mind. Like a blessing in the soul, Ning Fan's sword suddenly ignited with a black flame that emitted a terrifying temperature. The combat divisions that followed Ning Fan from all directions widened their eyes. They were shocked by the momentum of Ning Fan's sword strike. Within 1,000 zhang, the black flame soared into the sky like a black dragon. There was a continuous dragon roar that caused the entire earth to tremble. Such a frightening sword technique. What kind of sword technique was this to cause such a shocking phenomenon? Not good. Wu Dongnan was directly frightened by the momentum of this sword. He wanted to avoid Ning Fan's sword, but because the momentum of the collision was too fierce, he simply couldn't change his direction. Fire transformation. Ning Fan coldly shouted. The sword was shadowless, and a fierce flame aura rose from the sword like a rising black sun. Within a few li, the sword was like a flowing fire, burning everything into nothingness. This was the strongest divine ability Ning Fan could use at the moment, and it was also his strongest trump card. This sword almost exhausted all of his magical power, but the power of this sword was worth the consumption. This sword, Situ himself couldn't withstand it, and Wu Dongnan also couldn't. Wait a minute. This old man knows his mistake. This old man shouldn't have offended 7 Apricot City, shouldn't have asked your city for Jiha. Unable to avoid, Wu Dongnan wanted to say something to admit his mistake, but unfortunately, the power of this sword was too strong. Once Ning Fan swung it, even he couldn't stop the completion of this sword. Then, Wu Dongnan let out a miserable scream as he was directly swallowed by the sword fire. His expression of fear and disbelief was forever frozen. There was no blood, no scream. Ning Fan swung his sword and slashed past Wu Dongnan's body. The two of them crossed each other, leaving behind a sluggish Wu Dongnan like a statue standing on the snowy plain. There was no blood nor screams. Ning Fan swung his sword and slashed from the side of Wu Dongnan's body. The two of them crossed each other, leaving behind a sluggish Wu Dongnan standing like a statue on the snowy plain. In the next moment, Wu Dongnan's body slowly turned into ashes and dissipated. He was actually burned into ashes by Ning Fan's sword. On top of the white snow, only the ashes of a corpse were left. There was no longer a person named Wu Dongnan in this world. From the ashes, an illusory soul floated out, looking like Wu Dongnan in confusion. Ning Fan coldly waved his hand and captured the soul in his hand, searching his soul and memory. With another palm, he burned the remnant soul. The soul and memory searching divine ability, he also learned it from the immortal emperor's memories. This was the first time he used it, but the effect was not bad. From Wu Dongnan's memories, Ning Fan knew the reason why Wu Dongnan attacked Jiha and his plan. This was Ning Fan's first time killing someone. His actions were clean, searching the soul and memory as if he was born to be an evil cultivator. So strong. Young Lord only needed one sword to kill this person. In the sky, Yuchi and Situ's expressions changed. If it was them in Wu Dongnan's place, they would most likely die under the young lord's sword. The two of them couldn't help but feel a sense of awe towards Ning Fan at this moment. Only such a person was qualified to become 7 Apricot City's young lord. The only thing they didn't expect was that this normally smiling young man, once angered, would be so merciless in killing. This young man was born to cultivate the evil. The most terrifying evil cultivator. If he didn't make a move, you would think he was immortal. But once he made a move, a country would perish, 1,000 armies would perish, mountains and rivers would shake, and the heaven and earth would collapse. After killing Wu Dongnan, Ning Fan closed his eyes with a wry smile on his lips. Not long ago, he was a cultured and refined young man, but now, he was a cold-blooded murderous evil cultivator. So this was evil cultivation. Fine, since I stepped on this path, I can only brace myself and keep going. The quality of Wu Dongnan's storage pouch was not bad, so it wasn't burned. Ning Fan picked up the storage pouch and put away all of Wu Dongnan's treasures. True Spirit Violet Shone, Shadow-Chasing Sword, Middle Grade Immortal Cloud, tens of thousands of immortal jades, and a gold core Dao fruit. Ning Fan's gaze became slightly strange. He didn't think that at the end of the Dao fruit auction, this gold core Dao fruit would fall into his hands. Gold core Dao fruit. If a mortal eats it, they will directly break through to the harmonious spirit realm. If a late harmonious spirit eats it, they will directly break through to the gold core realm. If a gold core old devil eats it, they will even increase a small realm. If I eat it, what will happen? Young lord, what do we do next? Erase the traces of the battle here. 3 days later, a shocking news came out in Yu Country. Yu Country's #1 evil sect, Heavenly Beast School. Its elder, Wu Tiannan, was killed after participating in the 7 apricot Dao fruit auction. The killer was unknown. However, many experts of the Heavenly Beast School suspected that this was the work of 7 Apricot City. Rumor has it that after Wu Tiannan left the city, the 2 godly armies of 7 Apricot City also left the city with strange actions. This matter aroused public anger in the Heavenly Beast School. There were even many Heavenly Beast School cultivators who declared that they would flatten 7 Apricot City for revenge. This made the Yu Country's cultivators anxious. They were afraid that the Yu Country's cultivation world, which had been peaceful for many years, would once again ignite a war. However, the cultivators of 7 Apricot City acted as if nothing had happened. They still did what they were supposed to do and were not frightened by the threat of the Heavenly Beast School at all. Grand Commander Nangong held a banquet in his mansion to entertain Situ, Yuchi, and the generals of the 3 guards. He was very happy. This new young lord was indeed qualified to lead 7 Apricot City. What made him the most satisfied was Ning Fan's style. When enemies came to invade, he directly killed them. This direct and efficient style was exactly the same as the old monster 40 years ago. With such a young master, there would definitely be many battles for them in the future. To a group of warmongers, this was truly good news. The only regret was that Ning Fan did not show up at this banquet. Currently, Ning Fan was in seclusion inside the Si Fan Palace, trying to refine the gold core Dao fruit. After 3 months of seclusion, his aura continuously rose from the 5th level of vein opening all the way to the 10th level. He was only 1 step away from Harmonious Spirit. Once he reached Harmonious Spirit, he would be one of the few experts in 7 Apricot City. Unfortunately, his body had opened 100 yin-yang evil veins, but he still could not find the feeling of Harmonious Spirit. What am I missing in the end? He was at a loss. Even though he inherited the memories of the immortal emperors, when he truly cultivated, he would still encounter many problems that were not in the memories. It was as if there was a layer of shackles that prevented him from breaking through to Harmonious Spirit. It was as if the method of breaking through was not right while he was depressed. His shy words suddenly came from outside the door. Big Brother Fan, why not try that? Maybe you will be able to break through that. You are talking about dual cultivation. Ning Fan was enlightened. So it was like this. He cultivated a dual cultivation merit law. If he wanted to have a breakthrough, he would have to start from the root of this merit law and dual cultivate with someone. If he dual cultivated with Jiha, then maybe he would be able to break through to Harmonious Spirit in one go. What was worth mentioning was that after 3 months, the old monster's cauldron exploded a total of 52 times, but he still could not refine a 4th revolution. His old face was as red as a pig's liver. He finally decided to ask Ning Fan for advice, but he found out that Ning Fan took Jiha out to fly a kite. And when he found out that Ning Fan killed the Heavenly Beast School's elder while he was refining Dawn, causing a great disaster for 7 Apricot City, he suddenly became angry. His anger was not because of Ning Fan's trouble, but because of other things. Smelly brat. Your father was working hard to refine Dawn, but you dared to kill people by yourself without bringing your father. Do you still see me as your master? His grandmother. All the good things were taken by this brat alone, but your father still has to clean up the mess. Chapter 17. Ning Fan decided to take Jihe out of the city to relax and relieve his 3 months of closed-door cultivation. He was a cold and hard person, so even if he cultivated the evil Tao and killed people, he could still quickly integrate into the cultivation world and become a cultivator. But Jihe was different. This little girl seemed to be incompatible with the cultivation world. Her heart was too kind, so she was not suitable for cultivation. 7 Apricot City was located in the northern region of Yu country. It was truly an ice city. The north wind was cold and snowflakes fluttered down. There was no grass at all. It was said to be an outing, but there was no grass. There was only an endless snowfield. Jihe wanted to fly a kite here, but in this cold weather, how could she be in the mood to fly a kite? Big brother Fan, how about we go back? Jihe's small hands were red from the cold. After being cooped up in 7 Apricot City for a long time, she really wanted to come out for some fresh air, but she was afraid that Ning Fan would catch a cold. Her big eyes looked at Ning Fan with a bit of worry. Big brother Fan is so thin and weak, don't get sick from the cold. Oh, she was already Big brother Fan's wife, so she had to take care of her husband. Are your hands cold? Let me warm them for you. Ning Fan's expression was sympathetic as he gently grabbed Jihe's small hands. Big brother Fan in broad daylight, don't touch me. Little Jihe tried to dodge, but she couldn't pull her hands back. Who would touch you? You are thinking too much, silly girl. Plus, you are my wife. Even if I really did touch you, would you still want to resist? Ning Fan slightly smiled. Ning Fan could not help but let out a faint smile. Only when facing Jihe could he find the ease he had when he was still immortal. He liked the feeling of being with Jihe. It was simple and ordinary. People must live under the sun in order to cleanse their evil heart and avoid chi deviation. This was taught by the old monster before. Jihe's small hands were smooth and cold, causing Ning Fan to retract his killing intent and gradually calm down. What evil cultivators couldn't lack were women and wine. This was also taught by the old monster. But I still haven't agreed to marry you, not considered your wife. Little Jihe stupidly mumbled a few words as a weak protest, but in her heart, she had already accepted this identity. Her words only made Ning Fan chuckle. You are already mine, you still don't understand. 10 li north of 7 Apricot City, there was a valley. It was a world of ice and snow, rarely visited by people. Ning Fan held up the paper umbrella to shield Jihe from the wind and snow. The two of them, on the other hand, were taking a stroll in the snowy region until they reached the bottom of an ice wall. The youth grabbed the girl's hand, and under the cover of the ice wall, he jogged and flew the kite. Look, Big brother Fan, it's flying, the kite is flying. Jihe was as happy as a mortal girl. This was the first time she smiled after meeting Ning Fan. Her innocent smile made Ning Fan's heart ache. Ning Fan searched Wu Dongnan's memories and saw Jihe's life. No childhood, no smile, after being caught into the all-pleasure faction, a gloomy life. Big brother Fan, you are so good to Jihe. Jihe is willing to be your cauldron for generations to come. Jihe happily said while flying a kite high up in the sky. Silly girl, you are not a human cauldron, you are my wife, but I haven't decided to marry you yet. Truly a silly girl, do you know? Jihe's voice suddenly became low with the sadness of a young girl. Before meeting Big brother Fan, I never dared to hope to live until tomorrow. In the all-pleasure faction, I was bullied, but I was not allowed to cry. The evil nun said that if I shed even half a tear, she would kill me. Don't look at how stupid I am, I also have a desire in my heart. I hope to be kept well by someone for the rest of my life, properly placed, carefully preserved, so that I won't be frightened, so that I won't suffer, so that I won't wander around, so that I won't have a branch to rely on, but I don't know when that person will appear. To be able to become Big Brother Fan's cauldron, I am already satisfied. You are my wife. Ning Fan frowned and fiercely pulled Jihe into his embrace. Cauldron, this name did not sound good. He did not want his relationship with Jihe to be only master and cauldron. The sky was dark, the moon was dim, and the wind and snow were heavy. There were no hibiscus curtains or red candles in this place. There was only the sky covered with snow and the moon. Ning Fan's embrace was very, very warm. Jihe's limpid eyes were filled with nervousness. She suddenly realized what Big Brother Fan wanted to do. Big Brother Fan, this place is not suitable for that. She had not finished speaking, but her fragrant lips were blocked by Ning Fan's mouth, and her tongue was invaded. You are my wife. Ning Fan's eyes were firm and unchanging. He took off his black cloak and spread it on the ground. He carried Jihe horizontally and placed her on top of the black cloak. His hands gently caressed Jihe's delicate body. Ning Fan was deeply infatuated with Jihe. It was not just sex, not just love, but an inseparable love in life and death. Jihe originally had a natural seductive bone, and after 3 months of cultivating the beauty-returning Yin art, she was able to suppress her seductive bone. However, after being teased by Ning Fan, her eyes gradually blurred. Within the blurriness, there was an unknown nervousness, and within the nervousness, there was also an inexplicable expectation. She had been intimate with Ning Fan twice, but the first time Ning Fan was unconscious, and his rough actions left her with painful memories. The second time, she was unconscious and didn't feel anything. She also didn't remember how comfortable it was. This time was the first time she hugged Ning Fan when she was awake. Ning Fan's kiss was so sweet, and Ning Fan's touch was so comfortable. Why is it like this? Jihe didn't understand. She didn't understand a lot of things: the grand Tao of Yin and Yang, dual cultivation, this was human relations. Many cultivators thought that cultivation should be done without losing their primordial Yang, which was truly absurd. Many evil cultivators thought that dual cultivation should harm others to benefit oneself, which was also a great mistake. That was not cultivation, but a type of escape from the true feelings in one's heart. Ning Fan gradually forgot that this was dual cultivation. He was truly moved and indulged in Jihe's soft body. The moonlight was like a plate. Under the ice wall, the two were entangled endlessly. The wind and snow were extremely cold, and only their bodies could snuggle for warmth even if it was not intentional. Under the effect of the yin-yang locket, Ning Fan still completed a dual cultivation. The bottleneck of the 10th level vein opening was broken at this moment. Early harmonious spirit. Ning Fan only took less than 4 months to successfully break through. This cultivation speed was comparable to the elite disciples of some great sects. The black evil flame in his body circulated along the 100 veins. This was the process of harmonious spirit entering the veins. Generally speaking, a cultivator's veins could only fuse with one type of spirituality at the harmonious spirit realm, and they could only use the abilities of this attribute. Fire, water, metal, wood, earth, wind, and lightning, all of them were different. Only special immortal veins could contain multiple spirituality. As the black evil flame circulated along the veins, Ning Fan's veins were without a doubt branded with a fire spirit imprint. In the future, when he uses fire abilities, its power would be a lot stronger. What surprised him was that the yin-yang evil veins also had a trace of cold intent. It was as if because of this heaven and earth intercourse, Ning Fan absorbed a trace of ice power from the heaven and earth. A 2 attribute harmonious spirit cultivator. Ning Fan stretched out his palm, and a wisp of black evil flame leaped out from his finger. On top of the black evil flame, there was a trace of undetectable white ice flame. This is the power of yin and yang harmonization. Ice and flame are originally unable to fuse together, but this power forcefully fused them together. Ning Fan recalled the immortal emperor's memories, and his expression changed. Looking at the black and white evil flame in his palm that was enough to incinerate a harmonious spirit cultivator, Ning Fan vaguely felt that the power of this flame was a level stronger than the previous pure black flame. After a long time, Ning Fan's lips slightly curved up. He raised his finger and lit a fire next to Jihe, who was sleeping soundly, to keep her warm. Early harmonious spirit cultivation, yin and yang harmonization flame. Now, he should have some self-defense power, enough to protect the trace of warmth in his heart. Chapter 18. For more than 10 days, he dual cultivated with Jihe every day. Perhaps it was because Ning Fan broke through to the harmonious spirit realm and the gap between them was too big. Aside from increasing the bloodlines on the yin-yang locket, there was almost no help in increasing his cultivation. On the contrary, Jihe gained a lot of benefits from Ning Fan. Her cultivation increased rapidly, and in just a few days, she reached the 6th level of vein opening through dual cultivation. In terms of cultivation, she was already an expert among the vein opening experts. Ning Fan felt helpless. Dual cultivation required both parties to have the same cultivation to obtain the same benefits. His cultivation base was much higher than Jihe's, so there was nothing he could do about it. Currently, the yin-yang locket had more than 20 bloodlines on its body. Ning Fan secretly estimated that once the yin-yang locket had 99 bloodlines, he would reach the 1st level of yin-yang transformation. At that time, he would be able to use the yin-yang locket to open some magical treasures. An immortal emperor's inheritance treasure would certainly not be weak. Then again, dual cultivating with Jihe, was there really no benefits for Ning Fan? With a beauty in his arms, even if it did not increase his cultivation, it would still be a very good thing. Normal cultivators, from early harmonious spirit to intermediate, would need at least a few decades, and at most a lifetime. If Jihe was a harmonious spirit cultivator, Ning Fan was confident that he could reach intermediate harmonious spirit in 1 year through dual cultivation. This was already an extremely frightening speed. Vein opening was easy, but harmonious spirit was extremely difficult, and the gold core realm after harmonious spirit was even more difficult. Sinister Sparrow School had 100,000 vein opening disciples, but there were only 35 harmonious spirit elders and only 1 gold core sect master. The higher the cultivation level, the more difficult it would be. Since his cultivation could not increase, Ning Fan decided to diligently cultivate magical techniques. In terms of offense, his sword energy, sword transformation into fire, was more than enough to kill an intermediate harmonious spirit cultivator. In terms of sword techniques, he had fused with the immortal emperor's memories. Although his sword technique was not perfect, it still had the aura of a master. Ning Fan took out the mysterious scabbard he got from the auction and tried to understand the sword intent, but it was difficult. It was not that his understanding of the sword Dao was lacking, but the sword intent rejected Ning Fan's male body. This sword intent seemed to only be controlled by women. However, this scabbard was not completely useless. Every time Ning Fan used his transforming sword into fire sword intent to fight against the sword intent of the scabbard, he would be able to temper his sword intent. It was a very good method to improve his sword Dao cultivation base. Moreover, Ning Fan could vaguely sense that there was an extremely powerful divine ability hidden within the scabbard. Once the scabbard was crushed, the divine ability would explode. He was not sure how powerful the divine ability inside the scabbard was. He could only be sure after trying it out. Speaking of which, after breaking through to the harmonious spirit realm, Ning Fan's could be considered as a strong expert. As an expert, he had to learn more spells and abilities in order to protect himself. He decided to cultivate a new spell called Snow Treading Spell. It was an ice attribute spell. When cultivating, not only could he increase his ice elemental magic power, but he could also borrow the power of the ice spirit to perform the ultimate escape technique of traceless snow steps. In the immortal emperor's memories, this magic art was not considered a high-grade magic art. However, in the Yu Kingdom, it was considered a first-rate magic art. There was a prerequisite to cultivating this technique, and that was to possess ice-type magic power. Because of the dual cultivation under the sky and on the ground, Ning Fan happened to have this requirement. In the night, when Jihe was asleep, he would push open the door and go out to cultivate the snow treading spell in the frigid weather. This was a painful process. In order to fuse with the ice elemental magic power, he must use his body to resist the cold and could not use magic power to resist the cold. He flew in the snowy night sky. Every half an hour, his lips would turn purple from the cold, and he would have to stop cultivating. But after resting for a while, he would continue cultivating. Ning Fan's ability to endure hardships was related to his childhood experience. He had always been a person who could take charge of his own affairs, and his state of mind was as firm as a boulder. He still had his little brother that he had yet to save. He needed more power, so it didn't matter if he had to endure some hardships. Under the night sky, Ning Fan flitted across the snow and mud again and again like a graceful shadow. As he continued to cultivate, the footprints he left on the snow became shallower and shallower. His flying speed also became faster and faster. In the end, he almost turned into a series of afterimages. With a single leap, he could travel a distance of 100 zhang. He was just like a ghost. However, this snow-treading spell could not be cultivated to the highest level. It was not because the cold was not enough, but because it was lacking something. Ning Fan pondered for a long time, and he finally figured out a way. What he was lacking was the coldness of life and death. Only at the moment of certain death could one experience the hair-raising coldness. Snow-treading snow was not stepping on the cold snow, but the cold of the enemy's relentless pursuit. The more critical the life and death situation, the faster this technique could escape. Unfortunately, who could give oneself a life and death crisis? Without experiencing life and death, it was difficult to cultivate this technique to the peak. This kind of bitter cultivation lasted for half a month, but Ning Fan was still unable to completely cultivate this technique, and there was always a line of difference. In the Sea Fan Palace, the old monster finally exploded his 53rd cauldron. He opened the door while cursing, and when he looked up, he saw Ning Fan shuttling through the wind and snow in the night, and his eyes revealed a look of praise. All his life, he was arrogant and rarely praised people, but a hard-working person like Ning Fan was what he valued the most. In the past, when I was cultivating the black evil escape, it was also like this. While little Mei was sleeping, I secretly went to the magma to cultivate Han Yuanji, old monster Han. The world thinks that it was so easy for me to become famous in the world. Little Mei, I received a good disciple, an immemorial yin-yang evil vein, the same evil vein as you. The old monster's eyes suddenly became blurry, and his heart was in severe pain. Little Mei, after you went into a deep sleep, I never touched half a woman. After you went into a deep sleep, I restrained my killing intent and lived in seclusion in 7 Apricot City. Little Ning has the same evil vein as you. Perhaps one day, he can help me and wake you up. I am good to him, truly good, because he can save you. I really want to see you again. For this wish, I can abandon the heavy burden of the black evil sect and hide in the lower realms. I can erase the hatred in my heart for the white evil sect, but your shadow cannot be erased from my heart. Under the snow moon, the old monster's figure became increasingly bleak and lonely. Suddenly, he made a decision and stepped into the air, turning into a black rainbow. He chased after Ning Fan with his 5 fingers forming a claw, aiming straight for Ning Fan's back. The sudden attack surprised Ning Fan, but he felt that the old monster's attack did not have any killing intent, so he felt relieved. Perhaps the old monster wanted to test him. Holding his sword horizontally, Ning Fan took out a low-rank long sword and activated the sword into fire transformation to slash at the old monster's palm. This sword, whether it was the timing, angle, or reaction speed, was perfect to the point of being impeccable. Ning Fan had practiced this sword for a long time and was extremely proficient. This caused the old monster's eyes to reveal a surprised expression, but soon after, he shook his head and laughed. Little girl Dugu's strongest heart-painting sword, your father is not afraid, but your sword into fire transformation cannot stop your father. The long sword slashed at the old monster's palm, creating a metal clashing sound, but it was unable to break the old monster's physical defense. Then, the old monster's palm exerted force and the long sword immediately shattered into countless pieces. Ning Fan was speechless. Just how hard was the old monster's hand to dare to directly block a flying sword? Suppressing his thoughts, Ning Fan took out the shadow-chasing sword. This was the famous sword he seized from Wu Dongnan. The long sword danced like a chaotic plum blossom with sparks at the tip. With the shadow-chasing divine art, it directly locked onto the old monster and released its sword energy. Ning Fan condensed the sword energy at the tip of the sword. 1 point of starlight, 1 point of fire, and 1 point of breaking the circle. With the attack condensed into 1 point, even the old monster didn't dare to use his hand to catch the sword. Smelly brat, you are truly a goddamn sword genius. To be able to condense the sword energy into a line, this is something only gold core sword cultivators can do. Hee, worthy of being my disciple. In that case, your father will no longer hold back. Dan Fragmentation Cauldron, fall for your father and smash this smelly brat to death. A small cauldron was suddenly summoned by the old monster. It had 6 corners, 8 edges, and 3 legs. In the wind and snow, it grew to 100 zhang in size and pressed down towards Ning Fan. Under this cauldron, even an ordinary gold core old monster would die with hatred. Ning Fan's expression changed. He couldn't block this cauldron. Unable to block it. This cauldron had the body-locking divine art. Under the cover of the black light, Ning Fan was frozen by the black light. He could only watch the black cauldron fall with a shocked expression. Either use the sword energy to block this cauldron, or break free from the lock. He had to make a decision immediately. With his sword energy, he absolutely couldn't block this cauldron from the old monster, but if he wanted to break free from the lock, how would he break free from the snow-treading art? He looked up and met the old monster's eyes, only to see a worried look in the old monster's eyes. Chapter 19. In order for the young eagle to learn how to fly, the mother eagle would bring it to the highest point in the sky and then ruthlessly throw it down. Using life and death to force the young eagle to learn how to fly. So the old monster wanted to give me a life and death crisis. Only in this way can I have a breakthrough. Ning Fan's heart warmed as he closed his eyes. Time seemed to slow down. His back was cold because of the Dan Fragmentation Cauldron's threat of life and death. With this chill, the originally incomprehensible snow-treading art began to circulate with magical power and had a faint breakthrough. With just a thought, he could break free from the fixed body, but Ning Fan still did not run away. This was not enough, there was still more danger. Ning Fan could clearly feel that this life and death crisis was actually more beneficial than his bitter cultivation for half a month. This rare life and death crisis could not be wasted. The Dan Fragmentation Cauldron came closer and closer until it was only 3 feet away from Ning Fan's head. The strong wind made it hard for Ning Fan to breathe, but he still did not move a single step. The old monster's expression was as calm as water. He reached out his hand to retrieve the Dan Fragmentation Cauldron. Giving Ning Fan a life and death crisis was fine, but if he really died, then it would be a bit excessive. Just as he was about to withdraw his hand, Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes and took a step forward, getting 1 foot closer to the cauldron. He could move, so he had clearly broken free from the fixed body. Why didn't he run away and instead get closer to the cauldron? Was it for more breakthroughs? Did he want to cultivate this divine ability to a higher realm? Everything happened in the blink of an eye. When the cauldron was only 3 inches away from Ning Fan's head, Ning Fan's feet emitted a cold light. He took 12 steps in the air and turned into a stunning icy light. In just a blink of an eye, he had traveled a distance of 1,000 zhang. Such a frightening speed was not weaker than some gold core old devils. Ning Fan's breakthrough was within the old monster's expectations. The only thing he didn't expect was Ning Fan's calm action. In the old monster's view, taking the initiative to approach the Dan Fragmentation Cauldron was extremely daring. In the face of life and death, Ning Fan's heart was as hard as stone and took the initiative to approach danger. This kind of courage was something innate, an instinct of the body. It could be considered a talent. The old monster waved his hand and retrieved the Dan Fragmentation Cauldron. He looked at Ning Fan with shock, gratification, reminiscence, and mixed feelings. Ha, this stinking brat is really similar to me. Back then, I was also like this, fearless in life and death, calm in the face of every major event. After the breakthrough, the old monster and Ning Fan landed on the snowy ground together. The old monster had an expression of, "I am the hero," as he looked at Ning Fan proudly. This made Ning Fan speechless. This old monster Han really has a childish temperament. Is he asking for praise from his disciple? Words of praise, Ning Fan could not come out of his mouth, so he continued to stare at the old monster in silence. The old devil waited for a long time, but no words of praise came. His old face immediately darkened, and after thinking for a moment, he said with a mouth full of gunpowder, "I didn't expect you to break through to the harmonious spirit realm so quickly. Humph, I am truly surprised." His tone was full of sarcasm, but his eyes were full of gratification as if he was very satisfied with Ning Fan's breakthrough to the harmonious spirit realm. This is all thanks to the Tao fruit. Without the Tao fruit, I wouldn't have been able to reach harmonious spirit in 8 to 10 years. Ning Fan casually pushed the credit to the Tao fruit. Tao fruit? Daring to steal the Tao fruit from the hands of the Heaven Separation sect, this is also considered your ability. This is what I like about you. You're ruthless when you need to be. Good. I declare that from tonight onwards, you, Ning Fan, will be the 972nd sect master of the Black Evil sect. What is going on? Ning Fan did not understand but felt that it was awesome. Be happy for your father. In the past, even the Rain World's godly king would have to bow his head in respect to the Black Evil sect master merit law. I don't know how many people want the Black Evil sect master merit law. The old monster angrily took out a black book and threw it at Ning Fan's face. Black Evil secret art. Ning Fan was speechless. This old monster truly did as he pleased. He inexplicably accepted him as a disciple, inexplicably helped him break through, inexplicably made him the Black Evil sect master, and inexplicably gave him a merit law. He opened the Black Evil secret art. This merit law seemed to be incomplete, like an inheritance that was split in half by someone. This merit law could be cultivated all the way to the void fragmentation realm. It was clearly not something from the Rain World. One had to know that the highest cultivation in the Rain World was only at the void fragmentation realm. The declining Black Evil sect was able to make the most honorable cultivator of the Rain World, the Rain Godly King, bow his head in respect. Its origin must not be small. The old monster seemed to be the descendant of the Black Evil sect. Was he very honorable in the past? To be able to make the Rain Godly King, a void fragmentation cultivator, bow his head in respect, was he so powerful? His grandmother, your father gave you a gift, yet you don't even thank me. The old monster coldly snorted. Thank you. Master Ning Fan's expression was a bit uncomfortable. This was the first time he called the old monster master in front of him. He could see that the old monster was very good to him. In his life, very few people treated him this well. In this way, he recognized the old monster's identity as his master. Hee, you smelly brat, you are finally willing to call me master. The old monster shook his head as if he was enjoying Ning Fan's calling him master very much and was very proud of himself. After a moment of pride, he became a bit complacent. He directly grabbed Ning Fan's shoulder and leaped into the sky while laughing. Smelly brat, you worshipped me as your master. According to our Black Evil tradition, as your master, should give you a greeting gift. Come, let's go pick a gift. The old monster took out a pill bottle from his storage pouch. Inside, there was only one last pill as black as ink. After a moment of hesitation, he sighed and swallowed it. Immediately, a powerful aura gradually rose from his body. This is the last one. Come, your father will take you out for a stroll. Once he used his evil technique, the old monster turned into a strange black rainbow and pierced through the night sky, traveling 1,000 li away. Traveling westward, as fast as lightning. The first teleportation was 1,000 li, and the last teleportation was tens of thousands of li. Ning Fan was completely stunned. This speed was not something a harmonious spirit could have. The old monster's cultivation was crippled, so he could only reach this speed by using a secret technique. Teleportation could only be used by nascent soul old monsters, and teleportation could only be used by spirit severing, but this was obviously not the old monster's fastest speed. It was extremely difficult for him to fly like this. His forehead was covered in sweat, but he insisted on doing so. This was the tradition of the Black Evil sect. The master wanted to show the disciple his strongest side. This was the Black Evil sect. Ning Fan's heart was greatly shaken. What was the cultivation of the old monster in the past? Spirit severing, void refinement, void fragmentation, or immortal. Why did he hide in the U country? Why did he only have a harmonious spirit cultivation? Why was he poisoned? What was the story behind all of this? Ning Fan found that he had underestimated the old monster from beginning to end. No wonder when the Heavenly Beast School threatened to destroy 7 Apricot City, the old monster acted as if nothing had happened. This guy was not afraid at all. Where are we going? Ning Fan asked. Didn't I say to go pick a gift? According to the Black Evil sect's tradition, when a disciple accepts a master, the master must bring the disciple to the righteous sects to rob treasures as a gift. This is the rule. You also have to remember to bring your disciple to rob sects in the future. Unfortunately, at this moment, I can only use my nascent soul power to rob low-ranked cultivation countries. If it was in the past, your father would definitely bring you to roam the stars and rob to your heart's content. Flying at full speed, it only took an hour for the old monster to fly past the western border of Yu and arrived at the Qi country. After a few more teleportation lights, he arrived above the number 1 sect of the Qi country, the Scholar School. This place was 1 million li away from 7 Apricot City. In an hour, they flew for 1 million li. This was truly a frightening speed. In the silent night, the Scholar School still did not know that they had provoked an evil star for no reason. The Scholar School's mountain gate was protected by a gold core rank formation. This night, there were only a few disciples guarding the mountain. The Scholar School was not a small sect in the Qi country. Normally, evil cultivators would not dare to cause trouble at their door. However, this was only in general. The old monster alone destroying sects was a common occurrence. The Scholar School was not in his eyes. Hee, the old monster sneered, and without saying anything else, he took out the Dan fragmentation cauldron and smashed it towards the Scholar School's mountain gate. 1 cauldron, the formation broke. 2 cauldrons, the mountain gate collapsed. 3 cauldrons, half of the Scholar Mountain collapsed as rubble tumbled down. Root Sangsheng, get the hell out here for your father. The old monster shouted. The Scholar School was in chaos with fire everywhere. Countless disciples of the Scholar School came out with their swords. They saw the old monster and Ning Fans, 2 harmonious spirit experts, daring to destroy their sect. They all sneered. They were doomed to not know the old monster's terror. However, inside the sect master's chamber, an old man with a knife scar who was flirting with his favorite concubine greatly changed his expression after hearing the old monster's voice. He was a dignified half-step nascent soul expert, a heaven separation school master, but at this moment, he revealed an expression of extreme fear. It is the Black Evil sect's old monster Han, he is here again. I wonder what will be taken away by this monster. This time the Scholar School had been established for 10,000 years, and each sect master had a deep understanding of the Black Evil sect. When the previous Scholar School master was still alive, the old monster had come to the Scholar School. Well, that was 1,000 years ago. At that time, the old monster kicked the nascent soul school master of the Scholar School to the ground. 1 generation ago, around 1,500 years ago, the old monster used a magical finger to split the Scholar School into 2 halves. The previous generation. Sigh, how many years ago was that? He couldn't remember clearly, but in any case, every Black Evil sect master had been bullied by this old monster. And in Root Sangsheng's generation, it seemed that the old monster had already robbed something 40 years ago. That was 40 years ago. At that time, the old monster was covered in blood while carrying a coffin. He suddenly appeared in the sky above the scholar's school with a fierce gaze as if he wanted to eat someone. He was clearly seriously injured, but with just one kick, he almost collapsed the scholar mountain. At that time, a Rain Temple divine messenger happened to pass by and questioned the old monster about attacking the scholar's school, but the old monster casually gave a reason for destroying the school. "I'm in a bad mood, can't I vent a bit? No one died, why are you grumbling?" Then, the Rain Temple divine messenger with spirit-severing cultivation was beaten half to death by the old monster. His own storage pouch was stolen by the old monster, and the entire scholar school was also robbed clean by the furious old monster. Beating up a Rain Temple divine messenger was a serious crime. If it was someone else committing this crime, they would die without a doubt, but when the old monster committed this crime, the Rain Temple didn't even dare to let out a fart. In the scholar school's sect's secret scripture, there was an ancestor's will: once the black evil sect comes to their door, all requests will be granted. This was the comprehension left behind by the blood and tears of the scholar school's progenitor after being bullied by the old monster. Unexpectedly, 40 years later, the old monster appeared again. How was he going to torment the scholar school this time? What did he want to rob? 40 years ago, he just came once, why did he come again? This is a disaster, ah! Inside the cave, Rutsangshin put down his beloved concubine, put on his clothes, and went out with a bitter expression. Chapter 20. After smashing the cauldron 3 times, the old monster retrieved the fragmented Dan cauldron and sneered. As for the scholar origin sect below him, it was already brightly lit and roaring. Which junior dares cause trouble in my scholar essence sect? A gold-core old scholar flew to the sky and saw that there were only 2 harmonious spirit cultivators. He frowned and took out a black ink stone and struck it towards the old monster's head. A mere harmonious spirit cultivator dared to come to the scholar school to court death. If this old scholar was in U country, he would be one of the top 10 experts. He had the arrogance of a senior, but he didn't know that the old monster saw him as an ant. I let Rutsangshin come out, but did I let you come out? Get lost for this old man. The old monster waved his palm and the Dan cauldron leaped into the air, facing the wind and suppressing the inkstone magic treasure. Just one collision caused black light to cover the sky and fiery chi to soar into the clouds. The inkstone had many cracks and its spirituality was greatly reduced. Its brilliance was lost and the sound of a treasure breaking was heard. The old monster pointed at the lid of the cauldron and 8 black dragons flew out from the cauldron towards the old scholar. His magic treasure was destroyed and he had to face the attack of the black dragons. Such a shocking change caused the old scholar to panic and disbelief. Black demon flame. One of the 12 earth vein demonic flames. Who are you? How can you have such a flame? In the 9 worlds, there were the 12 heavenly frost cold chi and the 12 earth vein demonic flames. Rumor has it that by gathering the heavenly frost cold chi or the earth vein demonic flame, even an invincible void fragmentation old monster could fight. The old scholar never expected that the unremarkable old monster in front of him had mastered one kind of earth vein demonic flame. Not to be trifled with, this person cannot be provoked. He quickly retreated but found that the 8 fire dragons had blocked all his escape routes. He had no way to escape and could only face this attack head-on. It seems like I can only use my natal treasure. The old scholar made up his mind and flicked his finger to summon the Dan Iron Scroll. The expressions of all the scholar school disciples changed greatly. They didn't expect that the gold-core old scholar and the harmonious spirit old devil would have their inkstone destroyed and be forced to use their natal treasure. But just as the old scholar was about to continue his attack, an anxious voice sounded from the scholar school: Black demon, please be lenient. Mo Fuzi, quickly put away your natal magic weapon. Do you want your natal magic weapon to be destroyed as well? Do you know what kind of ominous star you are facing? The old Confucian scholar with a knife scar on his face, Rutsangshin ascended to the sky and looked at the old monster with lingering fear. He could not understand why the sect master would stop him from fighting against the enemy. Although the other party was powerful, if he took out his natal magic treasure, the outcome of the battle was still unknown, right? However, when he lowered his head to take a look, his face immediately turned deathly pale. The natal magic treasure in his hand, the iron alchemy pill scroll, had already been contaminated by a layer of devil chi, and its spirituality had been greatly damaged. Horror! He had no idea when the old monster made his move and when he tainted his magic treasure. If he rashly continued to fight with the old devil, the power of his magic treasure would be lost and he would most likely die under the black demon flame. If it wasn't for the sovereign's help, he, a dignified gold-core old monster, would have been killed by a harmonious spirit old devil. Humph. Root Sangsheng, if you came out any later, I wouldn't have been merciful. The old monster opened his mouth and sucked in the Dan fragmentation cauldron and the black demon flame into his stomach. He then sneered at Root Sangsheng, causing him to feel uneasy. Same old rules. Hand over a treasure to this daddy's disciple, and this daddy will leave without a second word. Treasure? Sir Black Devil, what do you want? Mysterious Scholar Dan. The old monster dug out his earwax and blew it. What? The Mysterious Scholar Dan is my Mysterious Scholar School's sect-defining treasure. After taking one can become a harmonious spirit immortal vein. 10, one less and I will kill a gold core disciple of your Mysterious Scholar School. The old monster dug his nose. You are robbing me. 10. This old man can only refine one a year. Root Sangsheng was on the verge of crying. This old man is robbing. 10 Mysterious Scholar Dan plus 100,000 immortal jades. This old man will ask you one last time, will you give or not? If you don't, this old man will also take away that little girl in your room. The old monster's eyes turned cold. Don't take my little peach here, this old man will give it all to you. Root Sangsheng gritted his teeth and took out a storage pouch. He picked up a few treasures and placed them inside before handing them over to the old monster. He sighed again and looked at Ning Fan, who was silent from start to finish, and said with a complex tone, "Little brat, you have a good master when this old man was cultivating. If there was such a master to help me steal dawn, this old man would have already become a nascent soul expert or even a spirit-severing expert." The old monster picked up a few things without missing and casually threw them to Ning Fan without bothering to look at them. Go to the next place and continue to destroy sects. Grabbing Ning Fan's shoulder, the old monster laughed and turned into a black rainbow that pierced through the night towards the next sect. And Root Sangsheng let out a sigh of relief after seeing the old monster leave. Schoolmaster, this person is only a harmonious spirit, why are you so afraid of him? You are a top half-step nascent soul expert, the old scholar named Mo Fuzi was puzzled and asked. Only a harmonious spirit? If this old man didn't sacrifice my wealth to save my life, you would have died even if you had 10 lives, do you understand? Even if this person is only a harmonious spirit, even the divine king of the rain world would have to face him. Forget it, you don't need to know about this matter. Disperse for this old man and go back to sleep. This old man is going to find little Peach, inside the black rainbow. Ning Fan touched the second storage pouch on his waist with a complicated mood. 10 Mysterious Scholar Dan, 100,000 immortal jades. The Mysterious Scholar Dan was a third revolution Dan, and 100,000 immortal jades was enough to rebuild the Sinister Sparrow School. The old monster's gift to him as a disciple was truly not a meager gift. The dignified half-step nascent soul Root Sangsheng was afraid of the old monster as if he had seen a ghost. Ning Fan had doubts in his heart. Such a powerful old monster, who was the one who destroyed his evil veins? And why did he disband the Black Evil sect and become an elder of the trivial Sinister Sparrow School with your strength? Why do you want to stay in the Sinister Sparrow School? Ning Fan had doubts in his heart and finally asked. Because Sinister Sparrow was my benefactor. He knew that my enemy was powerful, but he was still willing to heal me. Without him, I would already be dead. Without him, Xiaomei wouldn't even have the chance to die. Do you know why your father wants you to join the Sinister Sparrow School? Your father hopes that you can help your father repay his kindness by marrying his daughter and becoming his son-in-law. The old monster's expression was sentimental and serious, without a trace of arrogance and tyranny from before. Ning Fan gradually had a good impression of the old monster. This person seemed to have a true temperament, even though he was very overbearing and liked to make mistakes. However, there was one thing that Ning Fan couldn't accept. The old monster owed Sinister Sparrow a favor. Why did he want him to repay it? If you want to repay a favor, why sell me to the Sinister Sparrow schoolmaster's daughter? Ning Fan raised his eyebrows. Mother, you picked up a wife for free, what is there to be unwilling about? Don't you like dual cultivation? Only when you have enough wives will it be enough. I don't want to, that woman is too arrogant. Say it again, you don't want to. The old monster flipped out. Don't want to. Try saying it again. Don't want, you. Don't want. Accepting you as a disciple is truly my mother's 8 lifetimes of bad luck. Okay, we are about to reach the Lanrua temple, get ready to make your move. This woman is not as easy to scare as Root Sungsheng. The old monster withdrew the black light and stood in the sky with Ning Fan on top of a green mountain. He looked down at the grand temple with a dignified expression. The old witch of the Lanrua temple is a true nascent soul expert. My cultivation was crippled, so I have to show some mercy when kicking the sect, so I can only smash 2 cauldrons. Smash 2 cauldrons, this is called mercy? Ning Fan looked at the old monster with a strange expression. The Dan fragmentation cauldron rose and fell. 1 cauldron, the formation broke. 2 cauldrons, the entrance collapsed. Old witch, get the hell out here for your father. In the darkness of the night, the Lanrua temple lit up with dark green demonic flames while an enchanting and angry voice came from inside the temple. Han Yuanji, you still dare to come? This time, your mother will definitely eat you alive. Immediately, a demonic energy soared to the sky like an awakened dragon. Tens of thousands of old trees and withered vines pierced the night sky like a halberd. With such power, even a gold-core old monster would die. Seeing this, the old monster chuckled and suddenly put away the Dan cauldron. He took a step back and pushed Ning Fan's back, causing him to fall down from the sky towards the Lanrua temple. Little brat Ning, this time, you will be the one to kick the sect. You want me to fight against a nascent soul expert? Ning Fan looked at the old monster's unscrupulous smile and the demonic energy of the Lanrua temple and swallowed his saliva. He had just broken through to the harmonious spirit realm, yet he wanted to fight against an old witch that had lived for thousands of years? But immediately after, he thought about the heavenly beast school and his expression changed. Nascent soul expert. Let me see just how strong I have to be in order to defeat a nascent soul expert and have the qualifications to destroy the heavenly beast school and save my little brother. The 972nd generation Black Evil Sect Master, Ning Fan, has come to kick the sect. Ning Fan coldly uttered. With the shadow-chasing sword in his hand, a burning sword intent burned in his eyes. Chapter 21. Oh. Ning Fan. Hey Mo Sect Master. Ridiculous, a mere harmonious spirit cultivator dares to call himself Hey Mo, truly not knowing the immensity of the heaven and earth in the quiet Lanrua temple. The nascent soul demon indifferently smiled and didn't put Ning Fan in her eyes. If the one kicking the sect was the old monster, she would still be a bit afraid because she, for some reason, knew the old monster's background. Ning Fan. Every year, there are juniors who don't know life from death that come to the Lanrua temple to die, right? Since when could a harmonious spirit cultivator call himself Black Devil? Was Black Devil so worthless? This young man's appearance was quite handsome, perhaps he would be a good cauldron, but kicking the sect was still too early. This young man was lucky to meet her. If it was someone else, he would most likely be captured and raised as a slave. The demon pondered, but in the next moment, her beautiful expression slightly changed. In the night sky, Ning Fan's body was surrounded by a black flame that enveloped the ice and fire. The yin-yang flame floated above the sword, like a silent lamp in the night sky. This is the fusion of yin and yang earth vein demonic flame, Hey Mo flame, but combined with the power of ice. Strange, the demon's eyes flickered. The ice and fire on Ning Fan's sword was not strong, only having the destructive power of a harmonious spirit, but its mysteriousness was far beyond the void fragmentation realm inside. There was a special power that fused ice and fire. This power was beyond her understanding. It was the mysteriousness of the yin-yang locket that she didn't know. She glanced at Ning Fan with a bit of interest, wanting to see what other tricks this young man could play. Immediately, she saw Ning Fan point his sword and a blazing sword aura slashed out, illuminating the moon and breaking the night with a dragon roar. Harmonious Spirit Sword Intent, Dugu's first sword intent, sword transformation into fire. The power of this sword was not enough to move the demon, but the origin of this sword was too great. The Sword World's sword transformation into fire sword Emperor's secret sword. Her cherry lips slightly opened as she was secretly shocked. This sword was absolutely the Sword World's godly Emperor's secret sword. There was no mistaking it. For 40 years, the girl behind the old monsters but knew this sword and was a member of the Sword World. But this young man, why would he know this sword? The most important thing was that this sword had a long history, so it couldn't be used recklessly. With her other identity, she knew a little about the secrets of the sword dimension, so she was naturally surprised. If it was anyone else, they might not be surprised. Ning Fan's expression was indifferent. The trajectory of the millions of withered vines that were like blades and halberds became clear in his eyes. As the sword moved, so did the wind. The sword was like flowing fire, and the sword chi slashed into black crescent moons. When it touched the withered vines, a teng sound was heard, as if the wind was blowing away rotten wood. The withered vines were slowly burned to ashes. The female demon was surprised. She was a tree demon and she was afraid of fire. Moreover, she only used 10% of her magic power to cast the spell. Even so, it was still not something that Ning Fan could break. Regardless of whether he was lenient or not, this kid was not bad at Harmonious Spirit Realm. You can block my attack. I am afraid that ordinary intermediate harmonious spirit experts are no match for you. Dan Revolution. The female monster spat out the breath of a nascent soul and performed the core rotation divine power. This divine power could only be comprehended by gold core cultivators. It could use the core chi to double the power of magical spells. She didn't use a nascent soul attack because in her opinion, a gold core magical spell was enough to defeat a mere harmonious spirit Ning Fan. As she spat out the breath of her nascent soul, the burned withered branches and leaves reappeared in the night sky. They intertwined together and turned into 100 zhang tall evil tree. It had 100 wooden claws, 1,000 poisonous vines, and 10,000 yin thorns. The evil tree was rooted on the green mountain. When its branches and leaves shook, the green mountain trembled and rocks fell down continuously. As for the female demon, after casting the spell, she withdrew some of her magic power to avoid harming Ning Fan's life. She only wanted to test Ning Fan because she had a trace of interest in this young man. This evil tree was an illusion created by magical spells, but it seemed to have some intelligence. At this moment, Ning Fan facing the evil tree was like facing a gold core old monster. Moreover, the evil tree seemed to have a preliminary defense against fire. Using fire as a trick was a bit difficult. He couldn't win, but with the snow treading art, Ning Fan might not lose. He activated the snow treading art. His body turned into an elegant icy light and danced in the night sky. His movement technique was not weaker than the evil tree. Moreover, the evil tree's huge body made it even harder to catch up to Ning Fan. Graceful like a graceful dragon, riding the moon to come and treading on the snow occasionally, Ning Fan would turn his sword into fire to destroy the evil tree's attacks. His cultivation was far inferior to the evil tree, but his sword was sharp and accurate. In order to clearly see the angle of Ning Fan's sword, the evil tree had several opportunities to injure Ning Fan, but the female demon secretly stopped the attack and changed the direction. One man and one sword made the female demon feel more and more strange. In her eyes, a white-robed sword god appeared. That person was also as ethereal as an immortal, somewhat similar to Ning Fan. She was startled. Could the young man in front of her be? But how could it be so coincidental? How could it be in the Lan Rua temple? The female demon lightly sighed as if she was murmuring. The evil tree was also waved by the female demon. She was truly afraid of hurting Ning Fan. As for the old monster, she didn't want to offend him. You are called Ning Fan, do you know the heaven cloud art? The female demon hesitantly asked. Don't know, Ning Fan lightly said. Is that so? I must be thinking too much. You can go, I won't pursue today's matter. However, with your cultivation, you are not qualified to be called the evil black dragon. Wanting to steal treasures is also not enough. You can go now. The female demon normally killed mercilessly, but today, she was lenient. It was not mercy, but she faintly didn't want to hurt Ning Fan. Ning Fan was silent. In fact, after this exchange, he had already seen the gap between him and the female demon. The female demon didn't even use 1% of her magical power. But he had already used all of his strength. If the female demon didn't show mercy, he wouldn't even be able to block this little evil tree's magical technique. Not to mention killing a nascent soul, he couldn't even kill a gold core. Weak, his evil cultivation was too short, and he had too few methods. A nascent soul killing a gold core was as easy as crushing an ant, and a gold core killing him would also be extremely easy. Even with the immortal emperor's memories, if his cultivation could not increase, he would still be weak, an ant. When would he be able to destroy the Heaven Beast School and save Ninggu? Ning Fan lifted his head and looked at the old monster, only to find that the old monster was also looking at him. Little brat Ning, you know how to play dirty. If you trick Yunruo away, your father will take you to the Heaven Beast School. If there is a chance, I will help you take your little brother away. There should be a bit of certainty, the old monster solemnly said. Go to the Heaven Beast School. Ning Fan's tone was excited. If he could save Ninggu, if he could, little brat Ning, don't think wrongly. Your father indeed wants to take you to destroy the Heaven Beast School, but your father's cultivation is crippled and cannot destroy the Heaven Beast School unless I recover my cultivation. The Heaven Beast School's waters are very deep. The so-called schoolmaster Wuxia also has a background, and it is even greater than mine. The truth is, unless your father has no other choice, I don't want to offend that person. The old monster curled his lips as if bringing Ning Fan to the Heaven Beast School would make him suffer a great loss. Ning Fan's heart felt warm. He had always considered the old monster as an outsider and never expected the old monster to help him save people. But the old monster placed his little brother's matter in his heart. He had no parents and was a servant of the Ning clan since he had memories, and he was always looked down upon. He didn't think that today, he would have a cheap master who cared about him. The old monster was indeed very good to him, better than anyone else. Thank you, Master. Ning had always called the old monster master with a sense of seniority, but now, he called him master with a more intimate feeling. Only one word was different, but the meaning was completely different. Don't call me master, your father doesn't like this title. The old monster's eyes turned cold and flashed with hatred, but soon after, he didn't show it and his expression returned to its former indifference. This hatred, perhaps there was a story. Meanwhile, Ning Fan was thinking about how to trick the demoness. Playing dirty, the old monster did not want him to win against the demoness, because that was an impossible time. The old monster wanted him to learn how to scheme when he could not win. The black demon's personality could be casual, but his mind must be meticulous. He must know how to trick people in order to protect himself. Under normal circumstances, a harmonious spirit could not win against a nascent soul expert no matter what method they used, but the old monster faintly felt that Ning Fan's concealment was enough to trick the demoness. After all, Ning Fan's secret was something that even the old monster couldn't see through. Can he do it? If he can, then there was a trace of expectation in his heart. He was looking forward to another matter, a very important matter. Playing dirty. Then, I will play dirty. If I can't win through direct means, then I will use a different method. If I can't win through a different method, then I will use a different method. Yin-yang transformation, bewitching technique. Would it be effective against this woman? After breaking through to the harmonious spirit realm, Ning Fan could use a magical technique called Yin plucking finger. Yin plucking finger, one finger could turn into an illusion and provoke a woman's desire. When used with harmonious spirit magical power, it could cause a harmonious spirit female cultivator to lose their mind and be at his mercy. Even a nascent soul female cultivator would become absent-minded after being hit by this finger. That moment of absent-mindedness was enough. This move was a bit despicable, but there were too many things in this world that even if the process was despicable, it still had to be done. The old monster wanted to teach Ning Fan this truth. I am going to make my move. Ning Fan decisively stepped on the sky with his sword on his back while fearlessly looking down at the Lanrua temple. Chapter 22. Even a clay figurine would have a temper. How could this master and disciple be so shameless? I can see that. However, today is very important to him. If he doesn't take this step forward, his heart will be shackled for the rest of his life. Black Devil must do what he wants and be unscrupulous. Yun Ruowei, accompany him in this battle. No need to be merciful, he has nothing to do with Yun Tianjue. He was picked up by me. If he loses, then let him die here. This is his path. The old monster said in a cold-blooded manner. Your black evil sect always does as you please, saying one thing and saying another. Forget it. I will try not to kill him, but I will teach him a good lesson about knowing when to stop. Inside the Lan Rua temple, a fragrant wind soared to the sky. In the center of the wind was a beautiful woman with bright eyes. She stood in the night sky under the moonlight, looking gentle and beautiful like a jade statue. Her fine black hair fluttered in the wind, looking peaceful and beautiful. Her bright eyes were like the stars and the moon. Her nose and cheeks were pink, elegant and graceful. Her waist was slender and her feet were bare. Her legs were long and slender like a moon rabbit. There was a bracelet on her wrist with a few silver bells hanging on it. When the night wind blew, the silver bells jingled, creating a very pleasant sound. The most peculiar thing was her clothes. It was a plain green as if it was dyed, with pine branches as a hairpin and willow leaves as a pendant. Yun Ruowei's name contained the word grass. The accessories on her body were also plants, and her demon body was that of a plant demon. Her beautiful eyes glanced at Ning Fan with a faint murderous intent that was elusive and difficult to find, like a lady sighing. Although this murderous intent was faint, it strangely carried a trace of moisture. That thing was too fast, and with Ning Fan's cultivation, he was unable to discern it before it entered his body. His body trembled as if he was electrocuted and immediately lost the ability to move. He was secretly shocked. This was not as simple as pressure. If it was pressure, then even a void fragmentation old devil would not be able to resist him. Without waiting for Ning Fan to see the power clearly, the yin-yang locket moved, disintegrating the power. He actually regained his mobility. At this moment, the old monster's eyelids twitched in surprise, but the female demon still did not notice. In the future, Ning Fan's would also be able to grasp this power, and at this moment, he used the yin-yang locket to break it. As the demoness approached step by step, it was as if he could smell the grass-like fragrance of the woman's body. His mind was shaken, but he immediately suppressed his thoughts and maintained his composure, pretending to be suppressed by the woman's pressure. Ning Fan could still move, but he would never tell her about it. The woman tried to use her mysterious power to subdue Ning Fan's, but Ning Fan's took advantage of the situation and waited for the woman to get close to him. Under his carelessness, he took advantage of the situation to use his ultimate charm technique, plucking finger. As long as he could hit the woman, he would be able to trick the demoness. In this case, the old devil should be satisfied. The lady walked gracefully in the night sky, moving closer to Ning Fan's with the high void steps. It's really similar. This calmness is also very similar. But your bloodline isn't right. No. Standing in front of Ning Fan, the lady lifted one of her slender fingers and gently touched the top of Ning Fan's skull. As long as he spat out his magical force, he would die without a burial place. She said some inexplicable words that Ning Fan didn't understand, so she didn't explain. If you retreat now, I won't hurt you. The current you doesn't even have the qualifications to tremble in front of me. The woman lightly said without any deliberate disdain, but this kind of disregard was even more hurtful. But at this moment, Ning Fan's eyes were like a hungry wolf, flashing a cold light. Is that so? He suddenly raised his hand and with lightning speed, his finger touched the woman's wrist. The woman was very close, but she didn't expect that a mere harmonious spirit like Ning Fan would be able to break free from her divine intent. She was angry that her skin was touched, but she was even more shocked by the power of that finger. After touching the woman's soft and boneless skin, Ning Fan activated the yin-yang locket's power and reversed the evil vein, turning yang into yin. A strand of yin energy penetrated the demoness's soft skin. At this moment, the woman's face was filled with anger. Within that anger was shame, and within that shame was a faint trace of fear. Ning Fan could actually move and wasn't suppressed by the divine intent. How was this possible? She had never heard of a harmonious spirit junior being able to resist the divine intent. Not even a gold core cultivator could do it, let alone a nascent soul cultivator. What was worse was that the woman realized that her wrist was being touched by Ning Fan. This was the first time in her life being touched by a man. In an instant, her face blushed and she felt a numbing electric current flowing through her heart, making her blush uncontrollably. The demoness who killed people like scything flax was embarrassed like a girl next door. But immediately, the woman realized that the bad things were far from over. Ning Fan's finger seemed to have a special magical power. A strand of yin energy entered her meridians, causing her body to feel weak and weak. She gasped and couldn't use any magical force. How could this be, my magical force? This is the bewitching art. What does he want to do to me? At this moment, the woman had completely forgotten that she was a nascent soul old monster and Ning Fan was just a harmonious spirit junior. She was just a little frightened because it was a woman's instinct. The lady calmed herself down a little. She felt that even though the yin energy that confused her was powerful, she was still able to force it out of her body. As long as she could hold on for a while, she would be able to teach Ning Fan a lesson. However, the worst thing that happened next appeared. Ning Fan took advantage of the situation and pulled the woman into his arms. He held her waist with one hand and pinched her neck with the other, not giving the woman any time to force out the yin energy. When Ning Fan's elbow accidentally touched the woman's hair, the woman's body became even more limp. Damn it, what kind of bewitching art is this? It makes me feel so unbearable, so hot. The woman snuggled in Ning Fan's arms and struggled slightly, but Ning Fan hugged her even tighter. Don't move, don't resist. If you admit defeat, I can let you go. Ning Fan coldly said. It was impossible for him not to be tempted with a great beauty in his arms, but at this moment, he only wanted to use the yin-plucking finger to make the woman admit defeat, so he couldn't care less. If I don't admit defeat, what will you do to me? You. Hateful. Shameless. Let go of me. Don't touch me. The lady's eyes began to blur. Her body was so sensitive that she lost control of her mind when Ning Fan accidentally touched her. The yin-plucking finger was an immortal emperor's bewitching art, it was overbearing. If Ning Fan had a nascent soul cultivation, he could even make a nascent soul woman bow down to him with a single finger, undress herself and let him do whatever he wanted. In addition, this woman's body was extremely sensitive. Being touched by Ning Fan, hugged by Ning Fan, and invaded by Ning Fan's manly aura, she became absent-minded. She clearly wanted to use her magical force to force out the yin energy from the yin-plucking finger, but her body was being tortured by Ning Fan and was becoming more and more out of control. Not to mention forcing out the yin energy, she couldn't even lift her hands to push Ning Fan's embrace away. How dare you? How dare you? Can you? Let me go. What is this? Bewitching art. Ah. Please, she was so ashamed that she wanted to die, but she couldn't suppress this feeling. Hateful lecher. He came to challenge the sect, and I was kind enough to let him go, but he dared to be so frivolous. I beg you. Let me go. The woman closed her eyes as her cold tears fell on the back of Ning Fan's hand. Why is she so soft in his embrace? Why can't I exert any force? Ridiculous. A dignified nascent soul cultivator like me was being wantonly molested by a harmonious spirit male, and I even had to beg him with soft words. Her mind was blaming Ning Fan for his rudeness, but her body became more and more strange. She faintly felt that if she didn't quickly break free from Ning Fan's embrace and force out the plucking finger, she would be completely naked and be controlled by Ning Fan. Such a frightening finger force, such a frightening bewitching technique. Damn stinky brat, daring to disrespect me like this. If I escape, I will definitely kill you, so unbearable, so empty, the black evil tradition, I have done it. Give me a treasure and I will leave now, no longer pestering you. His words were spoken right next to the woman's ear, causing her heart to become even more flustered. A trace of killing intent gradually disappeared without a trace. Fine, I beg for mercy. The woman leaned her head on Ning Fan's shoulder and said in a daze. Let me go. I admit defeat. I will follow your black evil sex tradition. I will give you a treasure. Inside the Lan Rua temple. Anything you want. I will give it all to you. She only wanted to escape from Ning Fan's evil clutches. A mere treasure and a mere grudge with the old monster seemed to no longer be important. If that's the case, then please forgive me. Ning Fan released the woman without hesitation. If he didn't let go, he wouldn't be able to hold on any longer. Each of the woman's soft gasps were full of charm. He quickly retreated to the old monster's side with a vigilant expression. He was wary of this woman recovering her magical power and slapping him to death in a fit of rage. If it was a male cultivator, not to mention a nascent soul cultivator, even a gold core cultivator, Ning Fan still wouldn't be able to win. If it was another nascent soul woman without this woman's sensitive physique, even if Ning Fan used his bewitching technique, he still might not be able to subdue this woman. However, this woman's physique was different from ordinary people. Her plucking finger was abnormally tyrannical, and Ning Fan was not afraid of the pressure of a nascent soul. Ning Fan's courage and insight were astonishing, daring to take the risk and sneak attack the demoness. His victory over the demoness was due to too many coincidences, and his methods were even more despicable, but a victory was a victory. This was an evil cultivator. If he lost, it would be meaningless. If a gold core evil cultivator used underhanded methods, they might be able to kill a nascent soul. Breaking free from Ning Fan's embrace, Yun Ruowei hurriedly distanced herself with lingering fear. Without Ning Fan causing trouble, she quickly forced out the energy and her aura gradually returned to normal. She looked at Ning Fan with a complicated expression full of resentment. Do I want to kill him? It seems like I can't do it, hateful man. He even dares to disrespect me, Granny Lan Rua. This Ning Fan truly didn't learn good things. I wonder where did he learn this bewitching technique from? So overbearing, does he want to be a perverted thief? In the Black Evil sect, there has never been a Black Evil who became a perverted thief. Yun Ruowei's gaze was complicated while the old monster was shocked. He had endlessly overestimated Ning Fan's ability, but he didn't think that Ning Fan's ability to kill women would be this great. My goodness, what kind of bewitching technique did little brat Ning Fan's use earlier? Even this old demoness fell down. He is truly worthy of being my disciple. With this thought, the old monster calmed down his shocked expression and became even more proud. 40 years ago, this old demoness was forced into the sect by him. No matter how unwilling she was, she wouldn't yield and gave him treasures. At that time, he was seriously injured and couldn't do anything about it. But now, the demoness that he couldn't force was tricked by Ning Fan and even begged with soft words, little brat Ning, you are going against the heaven's harmonious spirit realm, killing a nascent soul demoness. No matter what despicable method you used, it is still good. Vast cold cloth, 100,000 immortal jades. After Yun Ruowei gave these two items to Ning Fan's, she ran back to the Lan Rua temple as if she was fleeing, afraid to look at Ning Fan's again. Vast cold cloth was a high-rank spirit treasure. Even a spirit-severing old devil wouldn't be able to recognize his face when it covered his face. Ning Fan shook his head and swept away this woman's figure from his mind, then he solemnly looked at the old monster. I won, so now I have to go to the Heavenly Beast School. Ning Fan risked offending this woman for this simple purpose. However, he was a bit hesitant. He wasn't optimistic about the success rate of going to the Heavenly Beast School and bringing Ninggu out. Go to the Heavenly Beast School. If you don't go, you will hate me for the rest of your life. But I didn't think that this old demoness would even give you her veil. With this veil on, no one in the Heavenly Beast School will be able to recognize your face. Come, let's go to the Heavenly Beast School. A black rainbow pierced through the sky and went straight back to the U Country's Heavenly Beast School. Along the way, they met several sections. The old monster casually kicked them and stole countless magical treasures and immortal jades. After the two of them left, inside the Lan Rua temple, a woman lifted her head and looked at the moon that was about to disperse with a frown. Smelly man, too naughty, forget it, we most likely won't have the chance to meet again in the future. A's, truly an irritating guy, she softly cursed. Her 10 fingers were intertwined together as she shook her wrist, issuing a pleasant bell sound. U Country, Hatred Parting Mountain, Heavenly Beast School. Today was the 9th day of the Great Sex Competition. Early in the morning, at the peak of Hatred Parting Mountain that stretched for 100 miles, it was filled with bejeweled jade palaces, dense immortal mists, and rosy clouds reflecting the sun. And a black rainbow quietly landed at the foot of the Heavenly Beast School as the sun rose from the east. Chapter 23. Bejeweled jade palaces, painting pavilions, and vermilion houses were set off by the rosy clouds and the rising sun. Occasionally, there were immortals treading on the clouds in the sky, as if they were out of this world. There were red-crowned cranes lingering in the mountains, young phoenixes chirping in the streams, and old woodcutters climbing the mountain while singing. Is this place really the Heavenly Beast School? Ning Fan's brows tightly knitted. This was far from the #1 evil school in you that he imagined. Don't you find it strange? It is clearly an evil school, but from the outside, it looks like an immortal righteous sect. The old monster sneered. Yes, I am a bit curious. Ning Fan nodded. A true evil cannot be seen from the outside. Cultivators can even see through the heaven and earth, but it is difficult to see through the disguise of the human heart. A true evil lord will not publicize their evil deeds to others. Evil must know how to deceive, or else they will not be able to survive in this world. The human heart is unfathomable. Unless you personally experience it, you will never understand. The old monster and Ning Fan stood at the peak of the Heavenly Beast School. This was perhaps the first time the old monster opened his heart to Ning Fan's. The human heart is unfathomable, huh? Ning Fan pondered as he pondered the old monster's words. 40 years ago, I was wrong, but after coming to the Rain Immortal world and returning to you, I was taken in by Sinister Sparrow. The human heart is hard to say, but I was not wrong about you. You are very similar to me, but your heart is still shackled. Heavenly Beast School, 100 Miles Immortal School, a square purple jade platform was suspended 1,000 zhang above the school. There were 4 heavenly gates on top of the platform, and the center was divided into 72 arenas. This was where the school competition would be held. It was bustling with cultivators, disciples, and spectators. Cultivators were coming and going on the mountain roads. The old monster patted his storage pouch and took out a jade scroll. He handed it to Ning Fan and pointed at the floating jade platform. Little brat Ning Fan, you have already opened your spirit sense. Do you know how to use this jade scroll? Imprint your little brother's appearance on this jade scroll later. Your father will sneak into the secret area of the Heavenly Beast School by myself to search for your little brother. You will wait for me on that jade platform. The forbidden area of the Heaven Separation School has many refined corpses guarding it. If you go, you will only be a burden. If I can save your little brother, I will return to the jade platform and meet up with you. If this matter is not feasible, then we will discuss it further. Harmonious spirit cultivators could open up their divine sense, which was a kind of spiritual force. Divine sense had many uses. One of them was to engrave the memories in one's mind for others to read. The jade slips were the objects that contained the memories. Ning Fan took the jade slip and placed it on his forehead. His mind was recalling the memories of the Ning family in Hai Ning and the memories of his younger brother, Ning Gu. Using his spirit sense, he imprinted Ning Gu's figure on the jade slip. A rare warm smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He had no parents and his only concern was his younger brother, Ning Gu. That year, she was 6 years old. She brought along the 5-year-old Ning Gu to work for someone. They earned a few copper coins a day, but she was reluctant to spend it. She endured the cold weather and went hungry to buy candied haws for Ning Gu. That year, he was 10 and Ning Gu was 9. Ning Gu was injured by the drunkard. In a fit of rage, Ning Fan fought the drunkard with all his might like a mad dog that was not afraid of death. That year, recalling the bumpy journey, Ning Fan felt warm no matter how bitter it was. If he could save Ning Gu, as long as he was around, no one in this world would be able to hurt him. Little brat Ning Fan, hurry up. The old monster impatiently interrupted Ning Fan's recollection and grabbed the half-imprinted jade slip. Stay on the jade platform and wait for me, don't run around. You killed Elder Wu, this matter is not over yet. It is better to be careful and try not to expose your identity. Otherwise, if you die at the Heavenly Beast School, your father will not avenge you. This reminder was clearly a sign of concern, but coming from the old monster's mouth, it was a bit more like a threat. Finished, the old monster performed an invisibility art and disappeared without a trace. He probably entered the Heavenly Beast School. Ning Fan smiled. The old monster truly had a sharp mouth but a soft heart. He took out the broad cold cloth and covered his face. On the cloth, there was the fragrance of a woman's lips, causing Ning Fan to be absent-minded. With the broad cold cloth covering his face, no one in the Heavenly Beast School would be able to see through his identity, so he would be safe. He jumped up and soared into the sky with his white robe and black cloak, revealing his proud immortal bones. The vein opening cultivators who were enjoying the shade saw Ning Fan soar into the sky, and their eyes widened. Who is this harmonious spirit senior? So unfamiliar, so young. When did my Yu country have such a stunning character? The passers-by all sighed and enviously looked at Ning Fan. 1,000 vein-opening cultivators could only produce one harmonious spirit. How could they be like Ning Fan and become harmonious spirit experts that could soar into the sky? Those under the harmonious spirit realm were all mortals, and those under the void fragmentation realm were all ants. Ning Fan stepped on an icy light and with a few leaps, he landed on the jade platform that was floating in the sky. The 4 heavenly gates of the jade platform all had disciples standing guard, specifically to receive harmonious spirit experts. Seeing Ning Fan soar into the sky, it was clear that he was a harmonious spirit. A delicate female disciple immediately greeted him with a fragrant wind and gracefully bowed. Senior's face is so unfamiliar, it seems like you are not from my Heavenly Beast School. You must be an outer school senior. This little girl, Qin Rong, is willing to lead the way for senior and explain the school competition. Even if senior has a special request for this little girl, it is not impossible. The female was at the 3rd level of vein opening. Her voice was soft and carried a hint of charm. Her watery eyes were like autumn waves as she looked at Ning Fan with a seductive gaze. This gaze carried a bewitching technique. Even a 10th level vein opening cultivator would be charmed, but Ning Fan's eyes did not move, nor did he have a special request. A special request was most likely a pleasure in bed. This girl was not a virgin, but she was also a witch, so Ning Fan did not like her. Just bring me around the sect tournament. The other services are unnecessary. Ning Fan lowered his voice was hoarse and sounded like an old man. The female didn't dare to be negligent and smiled. Yes, Qin Rong will take senior to see the school competition this time. There are a total of 72 locations on the jade platform. Each location has 200 disciples fighting. Today is the 9th day of the school competition. Yes. Ning Fan was only pretending and waited for the old monster here. He was indifferent to this Heavenly Beast School competition. His eyes casually swept across the locations and slightly focused. There were at least 100 harmonious spirit experts in the 72 locations and several thousand 10th level vein opening Heavenly Beast School's background was so powerful the number of experts far exceeded the sinister Sparrow School. One Heavenly Beast School alone was enough to sweep across the Yu country. The waters of the Heavenly Beast School were very deep. He shook his head. No matter how deep the waters of the Heavenly Beast School were, he was not afraid of it. Which sect or sect didn't have deep waters? He had the inheritance of ancient chaos, so who could say that the Yu country did not have another Ning fan who obtained another inheritance? He walked past each location with a puzzled expression, but when he reached the 15th location, he suddenly stopped with a shocked expression. That figure, there was no mistaking it. In the middle of the location, a black-robed young man wielding an ice ruler continuously defeated more than 10 10th level vein opening experts with extraordinary power. Each time he defeated an opponent, this black-robed young man did not give them a chance to admit defeat. He would often chop down with the ruler and smash the opponent's head, causing brain juice to spill everywhere. He was a ruthless killer. What shocked Ning Fan was not the black-robed young man's ruthlessness, but the young man's appearance. How familiar, yet how strange. Ning Gu, why is he here? Wasn't he imprisoned by the Heavenly Beast School? How did he become a disciple of the Heavenly Beast School and compete here? As for the ice ruler, it gave Ning Fan an extremely evil feeling. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.